It's ordered after the race. The history books they tell of their defeat in 45. They all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. They say the prisoner of Spandau was a symbol of defeat. Whilst Hess remained in prison, then the fascists they would beat. So the promise of an Aryan world would never materialize. So why did they all come out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died? The world is riddled with maggots. The maggots are getting fat. They're making a tasty meal of all the bosses and bureaucrats. They're taking over the boardrooms and they're fat and full of pride. And they all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. So if you meet with these historians, I'll tell you what to say. Tell them that the Nazis never really went away. They're out there burning houses down and peddling racist lies. And we'll never rest again until every Nazi dies.
Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. The invasion had begun. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. But I feel my time has come, and if I die here for the resistance, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. And if I die here for the resistance, you must lay me in my grave among the flowers upon the mountain. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Among the flowers upon the mountain, let me rest among the brave. Someday the people will pick the flowers. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Someday the people will pick the flowers, and they will remember my name. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty.
From all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell of how the good old...
Hello there, you Bumberclarts. How are you all? I hope you're well. But you might not be, but that's not my fault. So, you know, take it up with others who are guilty of that. Anyway, it's Sunday, so you know what that means. Laura Kay with a gay. Not just any gay though, the posh bird. So yeah, that should be
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Victory is ours.
Quite so, Yankee Tanky, quite so. I wonder what he's up to. Probably something mental and dumpster divey, I imagine. I very much see him as the kind of Oscar from Oscar the Grouch type figure, you know, but with terrible politics. Anyway, yes, Yeah, it's British politics and that. So, you know, get ready to be depressed at how terrible it is and how all of the people involved are fucking awful.
That is a stiff dick of poop.
It is a stiff dick of poop. Can we get some lols in chat for that dickhead still being dead? Wrecked. Right, where are we? Two gays peg Laura Kuenssberg. Well, let's keep it to terms of service, shall we, friends? Good God. It's pronounced... Oh, okay. I see what you've done there. See, being an idiot, I thought someone was actually going to correct me on a thing, and no, you were being silly. Because I did check that I'd spelt it correctly, because it's a weird name. I've never seen a name spelt exactly like that before, you know. Thank you to Time of Gifts with 5 community subs on the Twitch machine. Much love to you. I don't know why it hasn't done the noise for that, but thank you. I will literally do offensive things for you. Not all offensive things, just some offensive things. Yeah. And or illegal things. Partner push. Never. Right. Oh, pardon me. A little bit gassy. Because I knew I had to be done by a certain time, I ate too quickly. And I didn't need to eat that quickly. I could have took my time a little bit. I forced myself a little bit too much and now I'm a little bit hiccupy. Which is very first world when you think about it, but whatever. Alternative title. Oh no, okay, I already read that. Sorry. Yes, thank you. Why isn't Kev partner? It's a fucking mystery wrapped in an enigma. Kath, who knows? Could be any number of reasons. Probably all the legally actionable things I say. You know. Helena currently has my Prime sub, but you're up next for it in a few days. Well, thank you, Vaniza? Vaniza? I don't know how to pronounce your name. Unless it's like Dave, I'm stumped, you know. But thank you. I appreciate that.
It's spelled Laura Kuhn $Berg.
No, it isn't, Dingus. No, it is not. But thank you for money. But also, no, it is not.
That is a stiff dick of poop.
It is a stiff dick of poop. You're quite right. Thank you, Fosmos, for gifting a sub. Or a membership. I forget which one it is. Does it matter? I don't know.
Hello, Kevin. How you doing?
I'm very well, Posh Bird. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad. I'm not doing too bad. My chat are having a go at me because I do 6 streams per week and they think that's too much.
I think that's not enough.
8 streams per week.
I want matinee performances on the weekends. Fact. Chat. What I will say is 2 things. Firstly, if you do something you enjoy, then you never work a day in your life.
I mean, that is true.
And secondly, streaming is easy as shit.
I mean, that's the kind of thing. It's like, obviously, it sounds a lot doing 6 days of streaming a week and also having a day out, spending a whole day on Navara Media, right? Like,
oh, Navara!
That's my current schedule. Basically, I'll either stream on Thursday when I get home, or I'll do the stream with you on Friday. Therefore, Thursday, Friday will have a stream of mine and also a Navara in it, and then I will stream every other day of the week.
Yeah.
And like that's you're working you don't have a single day off, and I'm like, well, every day is a day off because I only spend 3 hours of that working.
Yeah,
most
like
people work 40-hour weeks, right?
Yeah, like I spend a few hours doing dick jokes and shouting at fascists. Which, like, I do without being on camera anyway. So, what difference does it make? Like, doing 6 shifts down a coal mine a week would be too much. But some poor fuckers do have to do that.
It's true, it's true. There are not many left, though, to be honest.
Well, not in Britain, certainly, no. But, you know.
No.
Having to do 9 shifts a week in a cobalt mine in fucking the DRC.
Yeah, literally.
Like, that's too much, you know. Yeah.
To be fair, well, Beck, I wasn't by having a go. I was being glib, I guess. I was being facetious. I understand. It's true. It is only 99p a month. It's still value. Becca is absolutely correct in her assessment. It's incredibly good value for that's cheaper than a can of the fabled red can of Red Stripe.
Which ironically isn't good value because it's pish.
It's very bad.
Yeah, it's literally horrible. Not that I want to denigrate the fine industries of the Caribbean. I'm sure they do make good alcohol as well. But of course they do. Fucking
They make rum,
yeah.
yeah.
The rum of the Caribbean is amazing. The beer is fucking dirt. I'm just saying.
Stop it. Get some help.
If
But
there's
listen to the
if
case,
there's one
isn't
way
it?
if there's
And
one way in which I am a European supremacist, it's in matters of the hops. Just saying.
I mean, it's interesting. I feel like every country either does good does good beers, wines, and ciders, and terrible spirits, or they do great spirits and terrible wines, beers, and ciders.
Which one are we?
Or with the good wines, beers, and ciders, surely.
I don't know. I'm not.
Well, not wines, right? But definitely certainly beers and ciders, right?
Well, cider definitely, but that's. I mean, like saying it's a good cider is like saying you're the world's tallest dwarf. Like technically, like it's like saying, "Oh, I'm wearing a crisp Hugo Boss," and it's actually just an SS uniform. Like technically you are, but like there's some hidden details there. I think you're missing out. Like, the fact that cider, I wouldn't wash my fucking ass with cider. It would be offensive to my bumhole. I'm sensing you disagree, but that's fine. You're allowed to be wrong.
I don't drink any alcohol at all, so I have no skin in this game.
Have you never drunk alcohol, or is it?
I stopped when I was 20. Actually, 20. I stopped when I was 20, so I've not been I've not been drinking for like 14 years.
Good God. Fair enough. I won't ask why. It's personal. It's nothing to fucking do with
as I'm currently drinking a glass of actual factual Mountain Dew, not like the shit, the piss, the absolute piss we get, a proper imported ultra sugary shit. That's my vice when it comes to drinking. I like incredibly sugary drinks.
Sometimes maybe
so
good,
rather than
sometimes maybe shit.
rather than cirrhosis of the liver, you're going to get diabetes.
Yeah, buddy, let's go.
Let's fucking have it. Okay.
Live fast, die young.
Well, indeed. Imagine you're
Potentially
you're
in an
so rock
Iranian
and roll.
missile strike
Well, literally, we're going to get eviscerated by Iran. Honest.
in 45 minutes. Honest, it's true. This time we mean it.
Well, yeah, but have you seen the dossier? Honestly, it couldn't be less dodgy, really.
I mean, if
Come
there's
on
if there's one person I trust even less than Alistair Campbell, it's fucking Benjamin Netanyahu.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I would trust fucking sushi from the petrol station more than I would trust Benjamin Netanyahu. Do you know what I mean? Like, fuck that.
I would trust some guy like in a fedora and a long coat, chewing a toothpick and flipping a nickel up and down on an American sidewalk more than I would trust Benjamin Netanyahu.
True. I would trust Keir Starmer more than I would trust Benjamin Netanyahu.
He's the biggest liar in fucking politics.
Literally, absolute piece of shit. Anyway. Do we have anything to do before we get on to award-winning consent manufacturing?
I don't think so, unless, it's probably a whole fucking can of worms, honestly, because everyone's going to hate the kind of takes that we'll probably have on this. Did you see the art exhibition?
No. What? This is completely flown by me. What is this?
So, some fucking right-wing influencer
Right.
called Zoe Strimple, which I think is a very, it feels like a really British name, but apparently she's American. Anyway, she suddenly found herself in Margate, funnily enough.
Okay.
As you do. And she came across an art exhibition called Drawings Against Genocide.
Okay. So
and she did not like what she saw.
Just randomly happened to stumble upon this thing in Margate, a very well-known destination for your American influencer. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, quite so. And it's right. How can I say it?
She does have a name like the Jane Plow, yes, like from Toast of London, the made-up names, Ray Purchase and such. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that she kind of obviously flew off the handle and made a bunch of weird accusations against it. And whilst obviously a bunch of shit that she's saying is incredibly dumb, like a lot of the drawings use the Israeli flag, which has a Star of David on it, and it's like they're trying to associate Jewish imagery with this, etc., etc. I'm like, it's the flag of the IDF. These are drawings of members of the IDF. It's why they have IDF written on them. You know, like that there is a flag that they have on their own uniform. That's their own fault. But there is also anti-Semitic imagery in here, I think, as well. So it's all a big massive mess, and it's caused a massive meltdown on Twitter. And she was on GB News tonight as well, which we might cover tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I mean, I literally haven't seen any of the art, so I can't really give you much.
I've linked in the Discord.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll take a look then, I suppose, and I'll give you my live art critique.
I will say one thing is universally true about this: the art itself is shit. It's not good art.
Well, okay. Oh God, do I even want to get into this particular thing?
No, I mean, okay, sure, no, okay. If you can have people have different opinions on these things, it's subjective. I know, that's fine.
Oh no, that is shit. No, that's just shit. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Did a 6-year-old draw this?
I mean, it literally does look like it, doesn't it?
Oh, that is absolute dreck. What is that? Oh no. Okay. Let me have a little look at this. Right. Okay. Right. There we go. Zoe Strimple. I don't know who that is, but there we go. So, New Order Forever Now.
Which is it's the sentence that doesn't even make sense.
Unless they're talking about the, I don't know, it's some sort of poetic reference to the 1980s synth band New Order. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, if we could have New Order forever right now, I'd take it.
That'd be fine. I'm alright with that.
Because like you look at this, and of course it is the IDF, and that is the flag, that is the Israeli flag. Like it's obvious what the context is here. But even then, drawing them as like, despite the fact there is a genocide going on, like this kind of imagery, it's a bit blood libel adjacent. That's all I'll say, right?
Okay. Okay, so I'll get the art critique out of the way. It's rubbish. It's genuinely an unpleasant thing to look at. It's like a 6-year-old. Like, it's one of those things you'd have to put up on the fridge to stop the 6-year-old being hurt. But really, if you're going to do tough parenting, you say, no, this isn't good enough. You need to improve your standards. Otherwise, like, because how are they going to improve if you never give them reasonable feedback? Is what I think. You should torture your children with truth. Okay? The imagery itself, okay, when you say it's blood libel, like, it's clear, like, literally, you couldn't be more clear that it's the IDF, because it's literally written in, like, letters on the person's hat in a way that they don't actually do in the IDF, but whatever.
What's the American political comic called? The guy who
Which
writes
one?
the words of the things on top of
Ben Garrison, yes.
It's very Ben Garrison, isn't it?
Yeah, Ben Garrison. Like, what you would need is a line coming from the skull that has a label that says skull. Just to make sure that everyone knows exactly what's going on there. So I don't think it is that blood libel-y. I think if you're if you're really looking to be offended by a thing, yeah, I can see it, but like, I don't think it's that bad actually. From a moral point of view, from an artistic point of view, it's rubbish. But
it's dreck, isn't it? What I will say is that any pretense about the potential for blood libel gets instantly wiped away by the next message that I have sent you, Kevin.
Oh, okay, right. Let's have a cheeky gander at that then. So this is from Oh my god! Like, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. That's literally just them doing the thing. Which, I mean, is why am I surprised that there is literally a picture of someone in the IDF standing on a skull? Doesn't even matter if it's a real skull. The fucking imagery is mad. So yeah, like, it's difficult for it to be too blood libel-y when they're the ones libeling themselves with blood. Surely. No?
I mean, it's worth pointing out blood libel is a very specific accusation against Jewish people, right? Like, it's about
if you want to go back to it, it's the idea that they eat blood in the form of matzah bread, right? But when we say blood libel, it's not literally that we think Well, I don't think Jewish people are fucking, blood-obsessed freaks. But even people who do blood libel don't literally think that Jewish people eat blood, like they're literal demons. So clearly the thing has expanded. Okay, there are probably some freaks, but mostly they think it's about killing rather than specifically the consumption of the blood. So the point is, blood libel has clearly expanded in its meaning from the very, very original thing, And exactly, I eat blood in the form of black pudding. So, you can't blood libel me. I literally do eat blood. It's not human blood, so it doesn't really count. But
Yeah, there's some other weird photos of pictures in this a weird gallery thing. One is depicting Zionism, Satan, right? It's all a bit near the knuckle, is what I'll say. It's all a bit near the knuckle, what I say. But regardless, I think that the point that is kind of specifically gone for here by Zoe Strimple is that they've used the Star of David in the imagery, and I'm like, that was done by Israel. Yeah, Israel put a very important piece of religious iconography on their fucking flag and then adorned all of their soldiers with it, who then went and did a genocide, right? This is why we keep saying that this delineation between Israel and Jewish people is so important, because I see it every day. I see it every day where people just go, well, it's Jewish people that to blame, right?
Yeah.
And it's become kind of commonplace to see people talking about not engaging in a delineation between the two, or the demarcation on both sides, right? And it's so toxic for the discourse. But Israel are the ones who have essentially forced this comparison into the mainstream by going, this is the flag we're doing under, it has this religion based upon it, and we are doing it in the name of the religion, despite the fact that they aren't doing it in the name of that, right?
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. I haven't seen it all, so it's difficult to really judge. But I don't necessarily think you are doing this, but I think people who would be offended by a lot of this want to be offended by this, not because the imagery itself is necessarily that offensive, but because it's pro-Palestine and therefore has to be attacked. I think it's a lot of it's politics based. I don't think a lot of the quote-unquote offence taken by either Jewish people or supporters of Israel who are not Jewish is actually offence. What it is a way of them using supposed offence as a political bludgeon. And that actually, again, as with false accusations of anti-Semitism, weakens the position of Jewish people in defending themselves against actual anti-Semitism, because people don't listen to it, to the point where this kind of imagery would have been seen as bad in the past, whereas now, when everything's anti-Semitism, nothing's anti-Semitism.
Well, that's true. Another good point in chat from Lee, that Iran and some Muslim countries have religious images on their flags. The flag of Pakistan literally has the Star and Crescent on it. They gave after they genocided Bangladeshis in the 1970s. They literally gave up fucking medals to people which had the Star and Crescent on them. If I was doing drawings against genocide, for example, and I wanted to depict members of the Pakistani military, they would be adorned with Islamic symbols. Would correctly identifying them as soldiers of the country of Pakistan at any point have been some kind of Islamophobic attack from me? No, it wouldn't. That's just the flag that they're fighting under, right?
Interestingly, the crescent wasn't originally an Islamic reference point. It was actually from the city of Constantinople. It was the original flag of the Ottoman Empire, which was then taken over by Mehmet the Conqueror, so called because he conquered loads of shit, including Istanbul.
Really?
What became Istanbul. He took on that symbol as a kind of way of trying to unite the quote-unquote Christian and quote-unquote Muslim, although they would be very different to today's Christians and Muslims, of course, sides of the empire. And so it became a ubiquitous part of Islamic culture and symbolism, but it was originally a Christian symbol.
Interesting. This is why we have you on, Kevin. You keep saying, "Oh, well, if you watch my streams, then what are you doing with your health?" I'm like, because you are a wealth of historical knowledge. I clearly am not.
Well, yes, I suppose. Anyway, you can give me money for my stupid little historical factoids if you wish. Hint, hint, chat. I'm only joking. Anyway, yes. Okay, so yeah, I mean, blood libel bad. fair enough. Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth. I think it's just worth pointing out, right? It's regardless of what happens, is that I think a lot of people have decided that the attacks that are kind of disingenuously accusing people of anti-Semitism have made people, as you say, become less vociferous in calling out anti-Semitism, right, or being wary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Potential anti-Semitism, right? And that's why I think that it's really important that as the left, who constantly get derided by it, we should just take as much of a as much care as we can to not even give people the opportunity to do it disingenuously, you know? Because most people now, I think, broadly in the public, know when those attacks are disingenuous, but the more that it becomes, the closer to the knuckle that you fly, the harder it is to be able to debunk, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Like, again, I don't really want to get into it too much, but I know where you're coming from, and I absolutely I have a lot of time for that kind of mentality, and a lot of the time I will absolutely go along with that. But there are points at which you just think, why am I fucking burning myself out trying to placate Zionists who are doing it disingenuously, when any reasonable Jewish person knows I'm not being anti-Semitic in saying Israel is doing a genocide, because I'm not mentioning Jewish people. I'm making that clear delineation between all Jewish people and the nation state, the political entity known as Israel, or indeed its armed forces known as the IDF. So I don't feel like anyone who would actually complain about the way in which certainly I or yourself approach this topic, any reasonable person would know that wasn't anti-Semitic. So I'm not going to burn myself out when we absolutely know that one of the tactics that the Hasbro pricks use is to try and make sure that good people burn themselves out, running circles around themselves, trying desperately not to appear anti-Semitic when they're not being anti-Semitic in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think just on a base level, I think there are easy steps that you can do to be able to ward things off at the pass by just changing rhetoric, changing how you do things. And I think that those things are always worth doing. Like, remember when we talked about the Zionism is racist motion? I was like, just make it a broad, like, anti-colonial, anti-ethno-nationalist motion and include Zionism in it. And then people know that you're doing it ideologically rather than specifically targeting a group, right? Because it was still that envelope carries all Zionism in it, because it is ethno-nationalist, it is settler colonial, right? Like,
yeah. And by the way, for anyone who thinks this is some new and novel thing, it was literally the position held by the United Nations until 1972.
True. I mean, it was funny is that I saw somebody just like saying that first of all that settler colonialism is libel, right? It's the settler colonialism libel. But also there was that funny thing, was it the Third Way group in America that saying the Epstein class is apparently anti-Semitic, but also saying that it was an anti-Semitic libel, again, as I say, to describe through things that people have learned through social justice seminars to describe Israel as settler colonial. I'm like, I'm not using my own words. I didn't learn the word settler colonial from social justice seminars. I found that out from Theodore Herzl.
Yeah, literally, yeah. Also, if it's
colonial adventure,
if it's not settler colonial, why are those settlers stealing people's houses? But why are they literally founding outposts in land that doesn't belong to them? Why are they burning down farms in order to take over the land?
Pouring cement down wells.
Yeah, like that seems a little bit settler and quite colonial. Just saying,
True.
Learns.
It is indeed.
Whoa.
Anyway, should we do some...
Oh, sorry, I forgot I wasn't sharing with you. I was playing it for the last 10 seconds. I didn't just go silent.
Oh, right, okay.
But I wasn't sharing the screen with you, so you just assumed, quite rightly, on your end, that I wasn't...
I was also supposed to say, Alex asking, they thought that Zionism was essentially an extremist sect of Judaism. It was a specific political ideology, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, a lot of the original Zionists weren't even religious at all. They were ethnically Jewish, but they were secular.
Yeah.
And
they were fucking despised amongst Jewish society in Europe. They were shunned. Literally, one of the reasons that Jewish resistance during parts of the Holocaust was so weak was because most other Jewish people refused to fight alongside Zionists.
Interesting, I didn't know that.
Yeah, literally, yeah. They were hated.
Yeah, well,
most Jews in Europe were actually some form of socialist or communist until the Holocaust.
There was the Labour Bund was the biggest kind of grouping of Jewish people in Europe.
Yep. And then, obviously, because of the Holocaust, they went, yeah, maybe we should leave. It doesn't seem like it's very safe for us here. The ones that survived, of which there were few, unfortunately.
I think if all they were doing was being refugees, no one would have had a problem. I mean, if people did have a problem, like we wouldn't have a problem looking back on it. That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. And unfortunately, the British government refusing to allow Jewish people to leave Europe for Palestine before the war meant that a lot of those people died.
Indeed. So the only country in the world up until until kind of the very last moment that did kind of universally accept Jewish refugees was the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, mad little fact, isn't it? Yeah, but there you go. Anyway, yes. So I mean, but now of course the really annoying factor when they go on about is being anti-Semitic to attack Zionism is of course the fact that most Zionists are not Jews. They are
Christian nationalists.
Evangelical Christians in the United States of America make up the overwhelming percentage of worldwide Zionists.
Yep, and they are literally doing it so that they can fucking foment the prophecy.
Yep.
The fall of Israel when attacked by the world, I guess, will bring upon the rapture.
Specifically, the town of Megiddo, from which we get the phrase Armageddon. It's a biblical reference point, and then there will be a battle between Satan and Jesus on Earth, involving all those who have not been raptured, which means basically just evangelical Christians, and then everyone else will be killed in that war and go to hell, including, of course, every single Jewish person, because they're not evangelical Christians. So,
brilliant.
You know, if anyone's being a bit anti-Semitic, I would suggest it's the ones that want all Jewish people to be killed by the devil in a war.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Whoa! Week 4 of the war. Fury falls from the skies. And a new threat to Iran.
But I thought it was won on day 1. Why is there a 4th week? It's almost like he learned nothing from the 3-day special military operation just north of there.
Donald Trump says they have 48 hours to open the vital waterway through the Gulf, or he'll smash their power plants. Iran targets a British-US base, its missiles travelling thousands of miles. Does that mean they could hit Europe? The Prime Minister's ally, Steve Reid, could
be afraid. Be very afraid. Can you feel your consent being manufactured up the arsehole right now, chat?
Secretary, and his opposite number, James Cleverly, who was Foreign Secretary under the Conservative.
Ironically, Cleverly, in this instance, is the opposite of nominative determinism.
You know what's really funny about all of this as well is that James Cleverly was the one who then first organised the Chagos deal, and who then attacked the Chagos deal, and now is supporting Trump wanting to upend the Chagos deal. And then what happened is because we didn't finalise the Chagos deal, we're now getting attacked by Iran.
Yay.
Are with us this morning. And as oil and gas prices surge, who will pay? Chris O'Shea, the boss of energy company Centrica.
Okay, that person is a Victorian villain.
It is incredible, really. Like if you could just like kind of in your mind's eye create somebody who says a fucking blood-sucking oil company CEO.
Or he's like the Wario of DJ Mule. DJ Mule or something, I don't know. Yeah, just incredible.
That owns British Gas joins us live. And Ukraine's President Zelensky told us this week how the conflict is prolonging the bitter...
Oh my, I didn't realise Keir Starmer was that short. Because he's a small lad and he's like a couple of inches taller.
Do you remember when they made his wife smaller for the Christmas card?
I do remember that, but I just thought that was like, oh, she's in heels, so of course she's taller than him. No, it just turns out he's just a manlet. Okay, cool.
I would say short king, but he is not the latter. Neither in his actual role, nor in terms of whether or not we want to be nice to him.
True.
Her fight in Ukraine.
And it's slightly annoying that he's now smartened up his act. I liked him when he walked around in a t-shirt. He looked cool. Whereas now he's got this kind of weird, a smart cash funeral look, which I'm not sure that works for you, Vlad.
The focus of America is more on the Middle East than on Ukraine, unfortunately.
I love her nodding at him speaking Ukrainian.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because
They're filming it for the noddy shots, but you know that she's listening to words she doesn't understand.
yes, indeed. I always wondered whether they actually talk to each other at the end of the news, or whether that's just a bit.
Morning, and with us throughout the hour today, broadcaster Nick Ferrari, the former US State Department advisor Karen von Hippel, and the SNP's leader at Westminster.
Righteous. Sorry, I'm just
Right, Honourable Stephen Flynn.
I'm just getting prepared.
Stephen Flynn. Let's start, though, as we always do, with what is making the news. And this is live pictures of southern Israel this morning, where rescue workers are cleaning up.
Oh no! Having fucked around, they're now entering the finding out phase of things. How terrible!
And again, it would be terrible if this had all happened in a total vacuum and a foreign state was just using ballistic missiles to attack military targets, but using such inaccurate missiles that they then hit civilian areas. But Israel have been deliberately doing this, not accidentally doing this, to Palestinians for 3 years.
Yeah.
So our level to which that we have concern over the actions of Israel here are very, very small, very small.
Well, I have thoroughly looked in all of my fields, and I have found no fucks that have been planted to be reaped. I'm sorry.
So it's worth pointing out that this is near both the very top secret Israeli nuclear weapons facility.
Hang on, whoa, time out. What? Israel doesn't have nuclear weapons. I was told. What's going on there?
I mean, it's true. Like, it's very funny watching all of the news organizations report on this nuclear weapons facility being attacked when everyone's supposed to not know they have nuclear weapons.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to play victim on a site that you claim doesn't exist, isn't it, Israel?
It's true. But it's also worth pointing out this same city is also very close to Nevatim Air Base, the biggest air base in Israel. So if Iran was firing at either of those targets, a ballistic missile could theoretically hit those civilian infrastructure. It is still technically a war crime, by the way, even if you accidentally hit the civilian infrastructure because the weapons you were using were not sufficiently accurate enough to hit the intended target. And this is like 25 miles away, so it's not exactly close, right? You can't really justify this by saying they're human shields, you know. So that is still a war crime that Iran have committed here. It's really important to understand.
Well, you say that, but have we checked to see if there are tunnels underneath these people's homes?
I mean, that is also true. We have not checked that.
Just saying.
But again, this is the law of the jungle that Israel wanted.
I've heard that some of them may have had personally signed copies in Hebrew of Mein Kampf. Fact. But with the title that says Mein Kampf in English, just so that you definitely know who it is. Even though for some reason Hitler is on the fucking cover. Okay, cool.
After an attack on the town of Arad, dozens were injured, but no one has been reported to have been killed. But there have been fresh strikes this weekend on Iran's capital, Tehran, too. Israel's defense forces said it had been striking regime.
Interesting that that's the way round they've decided to report this, as if is Iran independent, completely apropos of nothing, bombed Israel, and then in response Israel bombed Tehran, so it's fine. Almost as if they're literally purposely doing it in that order to make you think that that's the way it would work, because they're literally propagandists for the Israeli war machine. It's embarrassing. Yeah.
Targets. Iran says 3,200 people have been killed.
Hang on a minute. They literally saying they're bombing Iran regime targets, and we're zooming in on a fucking vending machine.
Well, yeah,
that was an IRGC vending machine, and it's not actually orange juice and cranberry juice you can see in that vending machine. It was actually secretly ricin.
Literally, yeah. This is actually a weapons cache for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Yeah, fact.
Killed since the war started in Iran. The
terrorist Fanta. Just saying.
Literally, straight from parts of Germany.
Literally, Literally, that's worse than a copy of Mein Kampf.
They are drinking Fanta in Iran.
Exactly. So anti-Semitic.
1,000 people have been killed there, and Israel said last week 14 people have been
Literally,
killed
they go,
directly.
oh, look at these scenes from Iran where no one has been killed, but some people are injured, and then go, yeah, and also thousands of people have been killed. Have been killed by whom? By whom, Laura?
Probably heart attack or something. I reckon. Yeah, be fine.
By strikes. But here at the BBC this morning, we are leading with President Trump's threats to obliterate Iran's power plants unless they open that crucial waterway, the Strait.
So it's going well then. Nice calm reaction from the person who's definitely won the war already. Honest. Yeah. Also, just one, as a quick aside, as Trump has been mentioned, I don't want to hear any whinging or complaining from any right-wing cunt ever about the sanctity of life and how we need to respect the recently bereaved. Considering Robert Mueller, the guy with the, did the Mueller report on Russia, Trump connections, the liberals insisted was definitely going to bring Trump down any second now. Anyway, he's died. Because he's old, or was old, he was in his 80s, right? And Trump literally tweeted out on his Truth Social thing, Robert Mueller is dead, good, he can no longer hurt people.
And by hurt people, he means him, and by hurt, he means hurt his feelings.
Yes, by reporting on things that he did and said, yeah. But
and
anyway,
what his friends and his campaign fucking organizer did, and who he knew and was good friends with.
Indeed. But I was told that me doing jokes about Charlie Kirk passing meant that I was evil scum. So, just saying.
I must say, making jokes about Charlie Kirk is wholly, it is wholly...
Yeah.
Indefensible.
Absolutely. I mean, I really got it in the neck for that.
You really did. You really stuck your neck out.
I did. But, I did it in a good vein. So.
True.
Hormuz, where so much of the world's trade is clogged up. The Sunday Times and the Sunday Telegraph both lead with Israel's claim that Iran's missiles could now reach London. The Observer takes a more political...
Didn't Mueller clear Trump because of lack of evidence, asks Morinaka. I mean, what he did do is they said they couldn't find evidence that there was specific involvement from Russia in engaging in the election, and there was no specific link between Trump personally and the Russian state. But what there was specific links between was Trump's campaign manager, Paul Manafort, and plenty of things going on with Russia. So the specific links between Russian oligarchs and Paul Manafort was Konstantin Kilimnik and Oleg Deripaska, the same Oleg Deripaska that's good friends with Peter Mandelson, for what it's worth, right? Like people talk about Epstein links, that's true, but there are also plenty of other links between Mandelson, Trump, and all that kind of malarkey.
Yeah.
And Paul Manafort was literally discussing Ukraine with these fucking Russian oligarchs.
Yeah.
Whilst there was there was still the Donbass war happening at the time.
Apparently, Nigel Farage seems to think that Clacton is in the Oval Office.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true. It's literally his constituency.
Yeah,
Washington DC.
Yeah, that's the one constituent he ever gives a shit about. Yeah.
Political attack. The headline: "The Unpopulists," with an image of Nigel Farage and Donald Trump smiling in the White House. The Sunday Mirror and the Sunday Mail on Sunday take a different story, looking at Sarah Ferguson. The Mail on Sunday says that she wanted to clone the Queen's corgis.
Only the important things on a day where we find out we might get nuked.
Yeah, thanks Daily Mail. Really killing it, and by it I mean the British media.
I mean, not that there was much left. There was much left other than a corpse. Also, I want to say thank you to Henry VIII fake for doing 70 gifted. So that's fucking crazy. Thank you.
Nice.
All shapes and sizes.
Crazy for giving me money. Like I probably should be more thankful. Thank you very much. That's very generous. Thank you.
Anyone who gives me money is fucking crazy. I'll just say it outright.
Even at a time like this. Good morning to all three of you. Karen, defence, the military world, that is your world. What do you make of Donald Trump's new 48-hour deadline for Iran?
Well, thank you.
Well, like all of his deadlines, it will come and go, and he'll have forgotten he ever said it, and nothing will happen. How many fucking deadlines did he give to Russia, and it's still going on years later?
literally. Again, he thinks that everyone can be controlled like tiny states geopolitical over Venezuela, or are already at his beck and call like Israel, and doesn't realize that this doesn't work with, massive fucking superpowers or states that have literally no interest in what he says.
Yeah, yeah. And of course that he has this idea in his head that he's like fucking, I don't know, Kennedy or Reagan or something. Like, he's the head of a massive superpower that can't be challenged. No, America's high point in terms of world power has passed. You are on the downslope now. It's not improving.
20th century, let's fucking go.
Exactly.
Let's fucking go. I mean, if it has to be.
Well, yeah, exactly. I wouldn't want there to be any superpower, but if it means we get some Belt and Road, okay. I mean, it's better than what the Americans give us, which is being a fucking target of Iranian drones and shit. Okay, cool, awesome.
Oh, and 10% tariffs and expensive medication.
Yeah. And hormone-injected beef. Thanks.
Woo! Yeah! Freedom! Can you feel the freedom already, chat?
Oh, so much sovereignty. Thank you, Wayward Historian with Bitty Bits. Much love to you.
Certainly not the first time we've heard him make ultimatums and that he doesn't act on.
The plural is ultimata. Please, if you're going to use Latin, use it correctly, okay?
We've heard it throughout this entire term so far. I think he's in a bit of a panic because he thought the war would go better than it.
People do this. There's only one item on the agenda. It's agendum, then, please. It's not a list, is it? It's a point.
Has. And so he even said also, we're winding it down. Just as he said, we're winding it down, they're sending thousands of Marines over.
It's Italian, but not Latin, right? People will say, I'm going out for a panini. No. I think you'll find you're going out for a panino.
Yes,
you can use many panini if you want, though.
Exactly, panini. But like Italian, I learnt this, that it's the plural is always I, and then if it's a singular, it's O at the end. Like ostinati and ostinato, things like that.
Like Gennaro Gattuso.
Or many Gennaro Gattusi, yes.
Over. And the Israelis say we're going to ramp it up over the next 2 weeks. So hard to know what's going on.
And before we move on, in your view, could Iran's missiles now reach Europe and maybe even London?
Well, assuming this one missile did reach Diego Garcia, which is 4,000 kilometers away, the Iranians are also developing intercontinental ballistic missiles that could go up to 10,000 kilometers, although we haven't seen.
Oh no! They could challenge our hegemony in the region. How terrible. It's almost like they would have the ability to defend themselves in a meaningful way.
Well, but she doesn't have that right to defend herself.
Can you please not... look, there's only one country that gets gendered pronouns.
Okay. Also, just in general, like, there's a really easy way of ensuring that you don't get hit by Iranian weapons. Don't attack them.
Literally. And actually, I've got a good history joke on that one. Surely Iran's pronouns would be Zerg. Bow down before me. I am a Persian history god. Okay? Thank you.
Seen those in action yet, so possibly yes.
Okay, Nick, in terms of the public's response to all of this, this time last week, Downing Street was thinking, actually, we are roughly where public opinion is. They think we should be protecting British assets, but not getting involved. But do you sense the public mood is there still?
Well, that's what I do, of course. I take those calls, and I'm so grateful for that. And you said right at the top of the programme, the prices surge, who will pay? Laura, we're paying, because I noticed as I was driven in today, a litre of
as I was driven into a man of the people, Nick Ferrari, couldn't even bother to drive himself in. Okay, cool.
Rosie, when Nigel Farage said that he was talking about how he found out that the local schools in the area are undersubscribed because people aren't having enough kids, and he was like, "Yeah, my driver told me."
Exactly. My chauffeur said that petrol prices were through the roof. I said, "Don't interrupt me. I'm having caviar." Please.
Leaded prior to the dispute was around 129, 130. I just saw it 141 coming up a road in here. Those are the people who are paying. I've not even talked about the energy bills. There's a good piece in one of the papers by Lord Walker, who runs Iceland. That's the store, not the country. And he says that the response has been rather slow. We have given the petrol companies a shot across the bows. I like Richard Walker. I think he's a good bloke, but I don't see it on the forecourts, and your viewers won't either.
Well, we'll talk to Chris O'Shea, who's the boss of one of the big energy companies, a bit later. But Stephen, what do you make of how this situation is developing? You know, we're nearly a month into this conflict now.
Yes, so Benjamin Netanyahu has convinced Donald Trump to start an illegal war in the Middle East that has seen oil fall.
He said one sentence and already he's made more sense than basically every guest on this show for the last month.
Literally. I really hope he does the Israel has nuclear weapons thing.
I really hope he does too. Also, they're definitely taking the piss getting a man with 4 R's in his surname to sit on the same panel as this guy. Because if he has to try and say Mr. Ferrari, we could be here all fucking day.
Falling from the skies, sewage facilities, sewage drainage facilities on fire in Tehran, seeing kids being killed in primary schools. And now we see the IRGC emboldened enough to block the Strait of Hormuz and potentially launch.
Oh, I was hoping he was going to go bigger on the Hormuz. But he didn't.
Intercontinental ballistic missiles at Diego Garcia. He has lost control, but he has never possibly been in control of this war. I'm very keen to hear from Steve Reid regarding the details of what's happened in recent days, but I also feel that Parliament needs to have its say with regards to the UK's involvement in this conflict up till now. Well,
we will give your request. We will talk to Steve Reid just in a couple of seconds. And as we enter week 4,
well, you would think that, you know, if we had a Speaker of the House of Commons with any fucking decency to them, they would have accepted any number of the urgent questions that have been put to him about this topic. But alas not.
Remind you what's been happening in these last 7 days. A few days ago, when Donald Trump was asked about attacks on one of Iran's oil hubs, he said, I might have a plan, I might not. Then late yesterday...
Like, at least that's more honest than Keir Starmer's plan to have a Quango to come up with a roadmap for turning the corner, you know?
Honestly, I feel super certain that we're going to pull through and that Keir Starmer knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I honestly, he is like Churchill, in as much as he's as good as Churchill, and Churchill is dead. So...
Also, a good point from Sarouche. Like, feel like being Stephen Flynn is the easiest job in the world. Just sit patiently and then say the blatant obvious. And that is true, but it is very rare actually you see someone from the kind of the broader left be given the position to say this, right? Because the only person in any kind of mainstream position who's been given a platform to be able to call out this "does Israel have a right to exist" bullshit apparently is now fucking Tucker Carlson.
Mad.
Of course they wouldn't let anyone from the left be able to do these things. They only allow these things to happen from the right. Happen with nationalization as well. These things are only allowed to be said from the right. Like Trump is to talk about nationalized bits of intel, wasn't it? Like, again, only the right are allowed to do these things because the fucking the center ground refused to admit the left were correct about anything.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, he's like Churchill in that he's a nodding dog. That's a lovely reference.
True.
Oh yes.
Today, he pronounced that Iran had 48 hours.
It's funny, sorry. It's really the article how they say they think his job is to sit there in a room and be serious and to say no or yes, invariably yes. And I'm like, I literally can think that they're going to be putting like bills and fucking policy documents in front of Keir Starmer, and he just goes, oh yes,
oh yeah,
oh yes.
Americans are really confused. They're not going to get any of that. But you know what? Well, skill issue, Americans. Get serious.
To open the Straits of Hormuz, or its power plants would be obliterated. It doesn't take a genius to work out that if there are more attacks on energy production, it will be harder to produce oil and gas. So the price of black gold...
Also, he's not going to do that anyway, because he's literally already done a 30-day moratorium on all fucking... sanctions on Iranian oil. And is essentially waving through Iranian oil tankers through the Straits of Hormuz. So they're getting, like, essentially an American escort through the Straits of Hormuz. Because obviously Iranian vessels are the one nation that Iran won't attack if it tries to get through the fucking Straits. So, like, you're not going to attack their fucking energy production because you literally are desperate for that oil to go onto the world market. So you're literally... you're trying to bluff us at the poker table, and you've got the cards facing the wrong way. We can see what you have, and it's fuck all.
Gold, and then of everything else, could surge. And there is that other chilling possibility this morning, with Iran seemingly able to fire missiles far further than
You know what? You're right, chat. The Straits are always the fucking problem. Correct.
Yeah, there was never a problem when we had a gay of Hormuz.
Exactly. The gays of Hormuz are fine. And the boys of Hormuz. And you know what? The aces of Hormuz. By the way, a fantastic tribute act to Motorhead.
Could it attack Europe, as Israel claimed last night? Well, for good measure, the American president has also this week carried on his volley of verbal attacks on his allies, including the Prime Minister, once his political friend.
President Trump has again criticised the Prime Minister.
The UK, which we sort of considered the Rolls-Royce of allies, right?
We will not be drawn into the wider war.
A war now into its third week, with consequences both in the Middle East and domestically.
Navigating from the Strait of Hormuz is banned from now on.
I have a very bad feeling about the impact of this war on the situation in Ukraine.
Unfortunately, Keir is not Winston Churchill.
Iran has tonight reportedly attacked and targeted energy facilities after Israel struck the world's largest natural gas field.
The government has a...
Whoa.
Hang on. Okay, so technically they did show that. I wonder if they're going to talk about that piece of footage they just showed. Because they just breezed past that like that just happened on Thursday. They just tried to kill a British journalist. That's fine.
Are they going to pretend it was Iran?
Probably. Or just not talk about it. And then when people go, why did you talk about it? They can say, look, we showed it. Technically, we did cover that, you know? Like, fucking tragic.
Agreed to give the United States greater use of British bases.
They should have acted a lot faster.
Iran fired 2 missiles at the UK-US base on Diego Garcia. That is far further than their missiles were thought to be able to reach.
Well, let's get straight to it. Welcome to the programme this morning, Minister. So it's crucial for people to know.
Why isn't he wearing his funny red hat? Where is it, chat? Where did it go?
This morning, whether or not Iran's missiles came close to hitting the British base Diego Garcia. How far did the missiles get?
Well, our assessment is that the Iranians certainly targeted Diego Garcia. As we understand it,
Just to explain, Diego Garcia is the name of an island where we have a military base in the Chagos Islands, and not, in fact, a mid-table Spanish midfielder.
True. And it's worth pointing out that it's a joint US-UK military base, right?
Yeah.
So when they say we've been attacked, they mean America has been attacked and we have been caught in the crossfire because we foolishly and slavishly allowed ourselves to have our military fucking assets tied to an imperial fucking belligerent superpower.
Why is there a British base there? Well, much as I asked the question why are there bases in Qatar and the United Arab Emirates and Cyprus, it's because of imperialism. In the past, we took over that land, and then we just went, even though we're going to give you independence, we're still keeping the bases. Much in the same way that America has Guantanamo Bay, of course, in Cuba. Interestingly, when a little history fact for you as well, Fidel Castro ordered many raids on the armory of the then much smaller Guantanamo Bay naval base, in order to get arms for the Cuban Revolution, to the point where the Americans started to pay him to stop doing that.
Literally the fucking trailer park boys memes of I'm going to pay you $100 to fuck off.
Yeah, literally, like, if it was cheaper than just go, look, we'll give you $50,000 to stop stealing our fucking weaponry, please.
Literally, it's like the failed asylum seekers who the Tories paid to go to Rwanda.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just wild shit. Anyway, there you go.
missile fell short, failed. The other was intercepted and prevented. But I don't think it's a surprise this has happened. Iran has been recklessly firing missiles around the region. I think something landed in Turkey, another in Iran. We know what's been going on with the Gulf nations. It's why the UK is taking part in the collective defence.
They're targeting American military bases because they're being attacked by America.
Yeah.
This is not surprising. This shouldn't be surprising that they are quite frankly defending themselves against military assets of their invaders.
When you say they bombed Turkey, I think you mean there's a military airbase in several in Turkey that the US is using to bomb Iran. So it's not like they attacked Turkey apropos of nothing, like Israel does with all of its neighbours all of the fucking time. No, they're specifically defending themselves against sites that are being used to bomb them.
Exactly. Like when people said that Hezbollah attacked Cyprus, no, they attacked Britain. They attacked the sovereign territory of Britain. It shouldn't be, but it is. The country they attacked was Great Britain, because we have our own little territory carved out in Cyprus who we refused to let go of when we gave them the independence they deserved.
True. Also, Turkey, if you want to give back the bits of Cyprus that you've stolen, that would also be a cool thing to do, if you don't mind. Another, I mean, he's dead, thankfully, but another, oh fuck's sake, I've forgotten his name now. Kissinger, another Henry Kissinger moment. He supported the Turkish invasion of Cyprus.
Great, brilliant. It was just an absolute litany of the worst things of the last fucking half century.
Literally everything bad that ever happened, you look into it, and Henry Kissinger's in there somewhere. He was very much he was the George Soros that people imagined George Soros to be.
So true.
Alongside our allies to protect British interests, British nationals, and our allies across the region.
But the detail of this is absolutely crucial here. So Diego Garcia, the base, is just shy of 4,000 kilometres from Iran. London is just shy of 5,000. So you say the missile fell short. How short?
Well, I can't share with you operational details like that. It would help only the Iranians if I were to do that. The point here is...
Well, you think the Iranians don't know where it landed? I assume they would. I presume there's some way of tracking that.
Or just launch it, whatever, fucking, who cares? Something will happen.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just assume it hit and move on with my day.
the fucking Austin Powers movie. I'm just going to put them in an easier, escapable position and then just assume it all went to plan. What?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I'm not going to watch and make sure they die. That's the thing. James Bond would have died many, many times because they just go, well, Dr. Evil, let's not put him in a laser that's going to cut him from his bollocks to his head. Let's just shoot him.
I've got a gun in my room. We'll do it together. It'll be fun.
Yeah, look, literally, we're heavily armed goons. We can kill this man right now and it wouldn't be a problem. No, I'd like to set up an elaborate contraption, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Is they didn't hit Diego Garcia. We have the capabilities on the ground to intercept and prevent what they are doing.
The point here, though, is for people waking up this morning, is they will have seen the headlines and many of them will have read this quote. And I want to show this to everybody. This is an on-the-record quote from the Israeli Defense Forces, our allies. The Iranian terror...
Wow, well, if the IDF said it, I definitely believe this. Just uncritically being like, see, the country that's desperate for us to do its bidding on the world international stage definitely says we're going to be attacked any second.
It's not like they have any kind of previous form in making themselves out to be the last fucking bulwark against the hordes from the east, is it? It's not like they compared a Palestinian nationalist movement to the expansionary front of ISIS. It's not like they continue to describe themselves as the last kind of bastion of defense, openly, in terms of wanting Western support by kind of pointing towards Muslims and going, they'll kill you if you don't give us money. You know? It's not like they've got form in deliberately doing false flag attacks to make people think that their adversaries are our adversaries too.
Well,
it's not like they have any form for any of these things, is it, Kev?
No. But speaking of that, a senior Iranian official has told Al Jazeera on Sunday that Iran was not responsible for and was not behind missile attacks on the Diego Garcia military base in the Indian Ocean. Now, Iran has every reason to want to deny that, of course, to not get retaliation and drag Britain into the war, etc., etc. So, and I don't trust the Iranian government specifically at all. But it's very much in Israel's interest to want Iran to be able to attack both Diego Garcia and, by extension, bits of Europe.
Because literally the only thing that would potentially get the UK public on side of Britain joining in this war is if we got attacked and we thought that our country was personally at threat.
Yeah.
That is the only thing that would change the overwhelming public opinion. 70% to 17%, they want to totally fucking wash our hands with this shit. The only thing that would want to get us involved is if we needed to defend the lives of our citizens, which at the moment we are at no risk of because we're not involved, or at least we weren't involved in the conflict until very recently.
Yeah.
Weird how as soon as this all these polls come out that show that the public really doesn't want to get involved, suddenly, now we're at personal threat from Iran, you have to get involved now. Isn't that strange, Kevin?
It's very peculiar. The reported incident has drawn attention from Diego Garcia lies 4,000 kilometres from Iran, double the 2,000-kilometre limit Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi claimed Iran had deliberately imposed on its missiles. So there you go, Chad. That's the position of the Iranian government. Take that with the large pinch of salt that is necessary, but stick a pin in it, because it may become relevant at some point in the following days.
The terrorist regime poses a global threat with missiles that can reach London, Paris or Berlin. Is that...
So, apparently its missile was not strong enough to get to Diego Garcia, which is 1,000 miles closer than London. But they can reach London, honest. Okay, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's bad that they can get within 1,000 miles of us, because there's loads of allied nations, and indeed millions of innocent people between here and there, that I also don't want to get killed. But I also don't think they're just going to randomly bomb places, because they're not fucking lunatics.
No, exactly. They know how fragile their kind of geopolitical position is, hence what we're seeing right now, and they don't want to jeopardize that because, again, these people, as we've seen, are far more sensible, significantly more so than the American presidential administration.
They've got a genuine strategic view of this, because, as we pointed out, they've been wargaming this since forever, because they were, like, for all of the talk about Iran being a threat to anybody, Iran has known since the inception of the Iranian Revolution that America is the threat to Iran.
Yeah.
And by proxy, therefore, Israel is a threat to Iran. And so they've had a plan in place for all of this from the very fucking get-go, constantly updating it based on new evidence and new arms and technology and stuff like that. But ultimately, they know exactly what they need to do in this situation. And they're playing it pretty well, to the point where Trump's now lashing out going, oh, that thing that we could have done, which is destroy all of your oil, even though we're allowing your oil to flow through. No, we're going to totally destroy all of it, honest, unless you just let all the ships through, actually. The fact that we've been begging international partners to help us with this is irrelevant, because reasons.
I mean, it's worth, again, pointing out, as has been pointed out in chat as well, like, Iran still does have a very recent form indeed, of hitting civilians with fucking rocket salvos, with ballistic missile salvos, because, again, ballistic missiles, especially intermediate range ballistic missiles, are very inaccurate.
Yeah.
They sometimes will fall, again, like tens of miles away from the intended target, and it will kill civilians. They have form for that. All the more reason not to want to provoke it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because, again, like, they would think in their own mind that if they were targeting some military base in the UK that was near a civilian area, they were justified in doing so. Again, you can't justify it if you can't reasonably guarantee that it'll hit the military site, but whatever, that'll be their opinion of this. And they will want to attack us if we get involved in an illegal invasion of their country.
Which we all basically already are. Like, if they, again, look, I don't think it would be good if they bombed Gloucestershire. Please don't arrest me. I'm not trying to suggest they should attack Britain, but if they were to bomb the site in Gloucestershire, I don't think you could morally, legally you might be able to challenge it, but morally I think they'd have every right to do so, because bombs are being loaded onto planes that are then being dropped on Iranians from that military base. So,
I mean, with the same justification that we are giving for allowing those B-52s to be able to refuel. It's obviously not the actual excuse or the actual reason, but it's the one that they're giving, which is that these are defensive strikes because they're attacking missiles that are attacking us, right? But in the same way that Iran would be attacking RAF Erfurt because it's the planes that are bombing them, you know?
Oh, Solly, one of my regular chatters, lives 10 miles from RAF Erfurt. Well, hopefully Iran doesn't bomb you.
Massive.
Hopefully you don't get killed by Iranian missiles. I apologise that the British government have made you a target.
They're using you as a human shield, Solly.
Literally. That's harsh. If they bombed Rotherham, they could cause £40 million worth of improvements. Harsh. Because I don't think you could improve Rotherham. It's perfect.
True.
There is no specific assessment that the Iranians are targeting the UK, or even could if they wanted to. We have the finest military in the world. We are perfectly capable of...
No. Look. No. It's sort of embarrassing when America tries to pull that shit. We've got the best military in the world as it flounders like fuck to take on Iran in the Straits of Hormuz. Embarrassing shit. But at least like they're big enough to be able to try and posture in that way. This is 2026, not 1826. The idea that we have the greatest military in the world is bollocks. Don't fucking lie to me, you piece of shit. I don't even want us to have the greatest military in the world. We should fucking chill the fuck out with that shit. Again, it's not 1826. Wind your neck in, you prick. Like, it's so nakedly a lie. And she's just going to let that pass. She's not even going to fucking bring that obvious lie up.
It's like whenever Americans say that they're the greatest country in the world, I'm like, by what fucking metric?
You have higher infant mortality and lower literacy rates than the third world nation that you have been embargoing for decades, you cunts. Wind your fucking neck in.
And there is Kevin using the correct usage of the term third world.
Yes, thank you.
Protecting this country and keeping this...
A third world nation that produces so many doctors that they can send it to first world nations like Italy because they didn't have enough.
Oh, and they occupied 6 counties as well. Cuban doctors literally went to fucking Ulster during the pandemic.
Yeah. And and they were like, Jesus Christ, we've been embargoed for decades and we don't live like this. Oh no.
Well, ironically, Northern Ireland is one of the places that's actually doing okay in the UK because it's still a fucking member of the European fucking single market.
Exactly, they're the bits that are still connected to Europe. Fuck. Oh God.
This country safe, whether it's here at home or whether it's our assets and nationals across the region. Well, you'd need to speak to the Israelis. You know, whatever people might say, the UK is not going to be dragged into this war, but we will.
We have already been dragged into this war. Our base in Cyprus has been attacked. Our base in the fucking Indian Ocean has been attacked. By somebody, it doesn't really matter who, to the point that we are involved in this war. Stop pretending otherwise.
Take appropriate, collective, defensive action to keep our nationals and our interests safe.
But Secretary of State, everyone watching this morning will want to know, are you saying that it is not true that Iran could hit European capitals, Paris, Berlin, London?
I'm not aware of any assessment at all.
I'll be honest with you, they can have Paris and Berlin. I don't give a fuck.
No, don't get rid of. But honestly, I would not like to see the back of Berlin.
No, not like the back of it. I just don't care if the Iranians bomb it. Sorry, I am joking to all of my Berliners and Parisians. I don't actually hate you.
At least choose an actual shithole like Lille or something.
Oh, some Lille slander. Oh, outrageous.
Yeah, motherfuckers, I went there. Been to Lille, shithole.
Munich, lads. Just fucking flatten
it. come enemy bombs drop on Lille.
That they are even trying to target Europe.
That's one of the key people behind Green's Organise, saying that they should bomb a major French city. Front page splash on the Daily Express. You what?
Let alone that they could if they tried. But even if they did, we have the necessary military capability to defend this country, and defending the British national interest is precisely why we're taking part in collective defensive action across the Middle East. But
Why
whatever
then is-
people might say, whatever speculation there might be, this country will not be dragged into this war.
But Secretary of State, that's not speculation. That is an on-the-record statement from one of our allies.
Not my fucking ally. You're joking.
And again, like, we've not seen the evidence. So, yeah, it is speculation. The idea that Laura Kuenssberg out here is essentially saying, what? You think that Israel would just lie? I'm like, yeah?
Yeah,
I do think they would lie.
Yeah, they do it all the fucking time.
They lie more than Keir Starmer lies.
Literally.
If that is not true, which is what you're
It was
saying...
very much conditional, the language that he used there. He used a could. There is no assessment to substantiate what's being said.
So
That's
why
the
would
thing.
Israel...
Pause. Like, this is guys a fucking head honcho and Labour together. Like, absolutely stuffed with fucking Trevor Chin's money. And even he knows that it's preposterous to anyone viewing at home to treat the Israeli statement there as anything other than just fanciful, you know?
Yeah.
He's obviously trying to couch it, but they said could, rather than they made this shit up.
Yeah.
Like,
There is no assessment to suggest the accuracy of that. So it's a lie then. The thing you are saying is that person has lied. Okay, cool.
my source says I made it the fuck up.
I've got that one.
My source is that I made it the fuck
That's
up.
something that is not true.
Well, you'll need to ask the Israelis why they're commenting in the way that they are. I can sit here and I can speak for the UK government, but the Prime Minister's been crystal clear all the way through. The UK is not joining this war. The UK will not be dragged into this war, not by any speculation, not by anything else. What we will do, and this point's quite important though, we will work with our allies to seek to de-escalate this situation, because the best way to keep the British national interest secure is to get this conflict.
If Farage has got any bant chops about him, he will come out tomorrow and say that Iran can reach British shores with a missile if they carry it on a small boat.
I mean, I was expecting him to say, it doesn't really matter whether they can hit us or not. They're sending their invaders here via small boat anyway.
Exactly. They're sending their military-age male missiles into the hearts of into the pants of our white girls. Yeah, yeah.
Bring this conflict to an end as quickly as possible.
Forgive me for pressing on this point, though, but this is so important because the headlines this morning, what the Israelis have said, what people will have seen in their papers, what will have popped up on their phones, what we've been reporting here at the BBC, is a statement from one of our allies that missiles could hit European capitals and could hit...
I love you, Wayward Esther. I did a joke about them bringing fucking missiles over on small boats, and straight away she's in with the links in chat to donate to the RNLI.
Incredible scenes.
Wayward, you put so much more work into this than I do. Everyone be nice to Wayward Historian, but give me money. Yeah.
This country. Now, you've told us this morning you don't think that's true, but in order to further reassure people, can you tell us how far those missiles really got?
You can't expect anybody to come here and talk about the operational capability.
Yes, you can. Because if it was in your interest to do so, like 45 minutes or dossiers and such, you would tell us. It's because this didn't get anywhere near it, and / or you already know it was Israel that fired it, or something like that, is why you're not telling us.
Yep. And again, it's also worth pointing out, to reiterate the point I made earlier, which is that Israel's biggest weapon that they have to sell in terms of Hasbara as a necessity of Western support is this idea that they are the bulwark, right? Like, there was a report internally that was done by the Israeli government saying that they're losing support across the West because, of course, they fucking are. And they said that the best way that they had of being able to rebuild that support is essentially by currying Islamophobia throughout Europe, throughout Western countries. They were specifically saying that not only are Muslims cannot be trusted, they are in league with foreign governments who also can't be trusted, and you have to support Israel because of it. They essentially want to sow societal disunity. They want to rip Western societies apart purely on the self-interested grounds of getting our tax money. That's it. That's their strategy for trying to shore up their support, is to essentially say, you are either on our side or you're on the Muslim side.
Yeah.
Which is fucked, by the way. That's fucked. That's what that is. Which is why they're saying things like, well, the Muslim nation of Iran is this massive threat to the UK, because it's all part of this broader idea of saying that Western public money is well spent on backing up Israel because of the role they play in essentially, as I say, being the bulwark against the Eastern hordes, which is, of course, racism.
It is racism, but in the service of even worse racism, which is the genocide of, well, not just Palestinians, but increasingly all of the other peoples who live in the lands that the Greater Israel Project wishes to conquer.
True.
Anyhow.
Because eventually they will say something like, well, we need this territory to protect those Western nations that we say that we're the bulwark for, right? Like, that was their justification for encroaching into Syria, like, even further than the Golan Heights, when there was the Syrian civil war kicking off. Oh, this is for our security, for Western security. That was the line they were going with, you know?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Indeed. Where was I? Yeah, hello there to Curtis Daly UK, whoever that crazy cat is. Everyone go and follow Turn Left. Especially because I'll be on Turn Left on Monday for Normal Islandings. It should be fucking deep. I was ranty the other day when I went on that. I got into a whole thing about death and terrorism. It was mad.
The Defence Secretary told us a few weeks ago something had come within 300 yards of British troops.
Don't Normal Island me, you pricks. Only I can take the piss out of other people for being more successful than me. Okay?
Possibly help the Iranians, and the Iranians are behaving incredibly recklessly at the moment, firing missiles around the whole region. Our interest is in providing necessary capabilities to take part in collective defence of British nationals and British interests in the region and around the globe, but also to work with our allies to de-escalate this situation, because the sooner we can bring this war to an end, the sooner we can get back to talking and negotiating, the better off people will be, both from attack.
Like, whilst I understand the point that's being made here, broadly I think we all agree that talking and diplomacy is significantly better than belligerent warfare. But these seem to live in fantasy land here, that Iran would never want to get to the fucking table with the United States anymore, given that the last time they did, Israel fucking attacked during the negotiations.
Yep. Which is exactly why Israel does this. It's the same reason that they bombed the Hamas, the hotel that the Hamas negotiators were staying in.
Yep.
Because they don't want
the King David Hotel all those years back.
Well, that's a slightly different matter, albeit a continuum of doing terrorism for their own political ends, but specifically to try and stop any negotiation from ever being successful, because they don't want peace. Peace does not serve the interests of Greater Israel.
True.
Difficult to take over land if there isn't war happening, really. But there you go.
Is it the easiest way of being able to justify ethnic cleansing is under the cover of war? That's what they did for half a century when it came to the Nakba, where Western nations were essentially just fucking sold a huge fucking slop of lies about the reality of why 750,000 Palestinians were ethnically cleansed, and they just all accepted it despite it being totally untrue. And in reality, people were expelled at gunpoint. They were sent on death marches. They had their wells poisoned with typhoid and biological warfare.
No. No, Brianna Wu told me they just left.
They needed an incredible face to camera.
Yeah, they just left. They just went to the corner shop for a pint of milk and some ciggies, and then just never came back.
Literally, honestly, it was a real kind of record scratch freeze frame moment. It was great.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I said, fuck it. We need to bring it back. We need to bring it back.
If someone's got it. Thank you, NYC guy. Yeah, I'm reticent to go with the direct conspiracy thing, because it's impossible to know at this stage. But yeah, if it turns out that this Diego Garcia missile might have been fired by, let's say, technically an ally, maybe Israel, don't be surprised. Gulf of Tonkin, etc., etc. We've all, it's happened before.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So I found the clip.
Okie doke. Where we at? Did you? Oh, you sent it to me, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
Is Bibi actually dead?
Is Bibi actually dead? I don't think so. Is the answer?
No. Almost certainly not.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. It would be very funny if he were, and I would do the crabbiest of crab raves if it were the case. But alas, I have seen no actual evidence that he is. Although them doing weird AI edited videos of him doesn't help their case, I suppose. But there we go.
No.
There was immense violence on both sides. When the Palestinians left. Hold on, and just one more thing.
Left.
And a really interesting fact with this is Israel's 20% Arab population. Many of those.
They just left. They just left. They just left. They went on holiday or something.
literally, they disappeared,
Yeah.
like Lawrence Fox's dad.
Oh, catching strays, Lazar. Oh, word. Outrageous. Or indeed,
Also,
Lawrence Fox's wife.
It's also worth pointing out that Israel has a history of false flag attacks. Like, if you look at the Levon affair,
Yeah.
if you want more information on that.
100% it does, yeah. It does it all the fucking time. But, like, it's difficult to know in the moment that this is a specific one. And we don't want to fall down the Alex Jones, wormhole. Although, speaking of Alex Jones, did you see him drunkenly being interviewed by Tim Paul? It was very funny. Literally, off his face drunk on stream.
But also in terms of the security of our economy.
In terms, though, of your efforts to de-escalate and your wish not to be pulled into a wider war, doesn't really appear to be working, does it? Iran has tried to hit our military base directly, as we've been discussing. There was an attack on our base in Cyprus. The MOD sources now say the UK has downed over 50 drones. The UK has now given America permission to use its bases to protect the Strait of Hormuz, as well as going after missile launch sites in Iran. That's not de-escalation.
Well, as part
Isn't
of
it
our,
exactly what your critics say, a slippery slope?
As part of our defensive
True.
actions,
Whoa. Outbreak of journalism alert.
Honestly, chat, you'd love to see it. Someone should give her an award for the one bit of journalism she's done.
necessary to adapt to the new targets that the Iranians are focusing on. That's the
So
right.
that's not de-escalating.
That
You'd
is
be
the
honest
right
about
thing
that.
to do. The decision about allowing the US to use our bases that was taken a day or so ago is in line with the original decisions that we took and in line with our assessment of international law. We are not going to be dragged into this war. We will not see this country dragged into this war.
But if
We
Iran-
will take all necessary action to defend our interests. That is why we had those Tornado fighter jets, the Merlin and Wildcat helicopters, the hundreds of additional military personnel all in the region before this conflict even began. We were prepared. We have one of the finest...
What about HMS Dragon? HMS Dragon these nuts on your face. Boom!
Heyo!
militaries in the world.
But Secretary of
and
State,
it will
our
keep
involvement is
country safe.
increasing in this. We are getting more involved, whether you like it or not. Our AF jets have been shooting down more drones. We are now giving the Americans additional permission to do more. That may be the right thing. It may be the wrong thing. People watching this morning will judge. But you surely can't sit there this morning and say, oh, we're not getting dragged into a wider war, where our involvement has been growing day by day.
If you take the decision, as any British government should, that we will defend British people and British...
Also, yeah, it wasn't always the plan, given that we weren't going to allow them to use our bases, and then we decided to allow them to use our bases. So clearly there was a U-turn. Which I know is surprising.
Number 17!
I know, it's a surprise for the Keir Starmer government, I know, but it did change its mind on a thing.
Assets across the region, and the Iranians start targeting different assets, then of course we have to respond to that and defend them as well. That doesn't take away one iota from our interest and focus on de-escalation. And we're talking to our allies about that. We're talking to the United States about that as well. The best way that we can protect people is to bring this conflict to a close as quickly as...
The best way we can protect people is allowing them to launch, to have bunker-busting bombs loaded onto planes in Gloucestershire? Are you sure, Steve? Because that doesn't seem very de-escalate-y. If anything, it sounds like de-escalate-y.
Escalate-y?
Well, if you want to be all technical about it, yeah.
We can.
Isn't it time for a vote in Parliament on what the UK is doing?
Yes. In fact, I would argue it's time that we passed an actual fucking constitution but broadly, a constitutional amendment of some variety or a law that means that Parliament automatically should get a say in these things. Because the idea that the executive, which has shown itself to be irresponsible with this power over the course of a very great deal of time, should have checks and balances placed upon it in the national interest.
Indeed so. It's also worth pointing out, by the way, it's really interesting if someone who I once knew, actually, an old friend, shall we say, an old acquaintance of mine, once said that were he to be Prime Minister, he would pass what was known as a Prevention of Military Intervention Act that meant that we could only get involved in these kinds of conflicts if we had a vote in Parliament.
Okay, I don't know why you would quote from Mein Kampf. Because you're clearly quoting Adolf Hitler there, right?
No, actually, I'm quoting somebody even worse than Adolf Hitler.
The whole Israel thing
I'm
started with
quoting
the UK.
former Director of Public Prosecutions, Sir Keir Starmer
KC. Because it was a good policy. I thought it was a Corbyn policy.
No.
Okay.
This is a policy back from when Keir Starmer was pretending that the 2017 manifesto was a foundational document.
The bit before he'd started going back on everything he'd said to get elected.
It was specifically during the leadership election where he told all those lies.
Before the general election where he told all those lies. Yeah. It's a pattern. It's a repeated pattern. Thank you to Jaycong. The whole Israel thing started with the UK. Look, Balfour was ages ago. Forget about it. All right? I mean, literally, because it shouldn't matter. The fact that a crusty old British prick wrote on a bit of paper, yeah, you can have a country, doesn't mean it's so. We are not a real estate agent. We don't get to just dole out parcels of other people's fucking land. It's ridiculous. And by the way, that works for God as well. He doesn't get to fucking do it. Especially because you wrote it. It wasn't God.
Okay, so by the way, this is the direct quote from Keir Starmer from 2020 on the Andrew Marr show. I would pass legislation that said military action could be taken if first the lawful case for it was made, and secondly there was a vote. Secondly, there was a viable objective, and thirdly, you got the consent of the Commons, which he has none of these things.
Yeah. See, I understand someone in chat suggested there should be a 75% threshold for parliamentary vote. No, I think that's silly, because if like 74% of Parliament vote for a thing, but the 26% get to win, no, that's silly. I think it should, but I don't like this idea of the supermajority shy. It should be straightforward 50+1, like it is for everything else. If Parliament is going to be consistent, I think that's how it has to work. You can't have the tyranny of the minority. That'd be fucking ridiculous. But anyway, so yeah, but that I think would be a reasonable check and balance, because we've already seen not just the influence it can have on British foreign policy, but with the bombing of was it Syria or Libya? I forget, where the British Parliament voted against it, and then the next day, fucking old Barry Obama had to say, yeah, we're not doing this actually, lads. We actually used our power in the world as a force for good because Parliament voted against doing a war. It was awesome.
Indeed so. Oh, I think I might have found the clip.
Of?
No, I don't have the clip, sorry. Of Keir Starmer saying that he would pass a Prevention of Military Intervention Act, which he then never did.
Syria, yeah, it was the bombing of Syria. When was it Cameron was Prime Minister, I think? Anyway.
Unprecedented to call a vote in Parliament on defending British people and British assets. That is why we have security apparatus in place.
I remember
this is not
back
an
in the day
offensive.
interviewing
the UK did not take part in the initial offensive action because we didn't see that there was the legal basis for the UK to participate.
And trust me, even though I'm literally wading in a tub full of Palestinian blood, I definitely care about international law for some reason.
It is really weird because Richard Hermer, who's the Attorney General, is apparently obsessed with making sure that we are adhering to international law. And yet, this just didn't happen when it came to Israel. Just when it came to Chagos Islands, we did it. When it came to the initial fucking strikes thing, there was international law was the reason why we didn't get involved, apparently. But Israel just gets free pass for some reason. It's very strange.
There is no precedent for a vote in Parliament for defending British people.
Someone
who are under
wanted
attack.
there to be a precedent. He was called Keir Starmer when he was running for the leadership of the Labour Party.
A journalism part 2!
Oh, absolute journalism.
Honestly, give her all of the awards. Ever.
Then I remember very...
Give her a Grammy. Give her a fucking Tony. Give her the IGOT. All of it.
Clearly, he sat in an interview and said, if I'm leader, there'll always be a vote on any military action.
I don't think at any point the Prime Minister has believed that there should be a vote on defending British people who are under attack from a hostile state.
Well, I mean, obviously, but that would be encompassed inside any law. Like, because in an emergency situation, you can't even convene Parliament. If it happens overnight, for instance, and you need to literally do a defensive action, but that would have to be justified underneath the law. And there would be reasonable... Like, in America, technically you're supposed to get congressional, approval. But for direct, extenuating circumstances, there are obviously mitigating factors that can be used. Like, you would be allowed to extricate those British citizens and to defend British military bases from attack, but it's allowing, say, I don't know, foreign militaries to load bombs onto planes on British territory. That's not
pre-planned strikes, like
that's got nothing to do with
defense of the realm.
Yeah, that's not. British citizens aren't being defended by that; they're being actually imperiled by that.
Indeed.
Yeah, and so you should get a parliamentary authority for that.
Also, thank you, Chaos Druid 666 for the 10 gifties, and Henry VIII Fake for another 20 gifties. He's incredibly generous to both of you. Thank you.
Although, because it's Henry VIII, he will also probably either divorce or kill you. This is true.
Where's HMS Dragon?
Oh, I've already done the joke. Fuck's sake.
You beat Kuenssberg to it, at least.
True, but I was thinking she's not going to mention it, so I'll just do it now. Because I was waiting on that one. I've been sitting on that one for minutes.
Will be on its way to the region. What happened there
it's still not
is
there.
that it was undergoing...
No, if it goes too fast, it'll fucking sink. It's papier-mâché. it's fucking gaffer tape at this point.
A 6-week refit that was completed in 6 days instead, thanks to the fantastic capability of our Navy doing what they're intended to do.
What the fantastic capability of our Navy? We had to fucking superglue this bitch back together at fucking top speed to desperately get it out there weeks after the war started. What capabilities? We functionally don't have a fucking Navy at that point. Because again, all of the money from the Navy has gone into nuclear submarines. That's it. That's the only thing we have. And that's not really useful because we're not planning on fucking nuking anything. Jesus Christ. Again, we're an old folks home and a call centre and a nuclear submarine base and poverty. That's all Britain is now. Anyway, thank you to... We heard noises. What happened? Something happened. Thank you, Al Rikabi, with 10 subs on the YouTube, on Twitch. Thank you very much. I will happily invade things illegally with you, if you want to.
And that ship is now on its way to
But it's still not
the
in
region.
Cyprus. Let's just be clear. It's still not there.
To join the hundreds...
And it hasn't even got to Cyprus. It's not even going to Iran. We can't even get it to fucking Cyprus in weeks. It's like something from the fucking 1800s, where the fleet would have to set off and then months later would arrive in a place. What the fuck, man? What a joke.
Of additional personnel.
Where is all this fucking money going? We are pissing money into the military, and we've got one ship that doesn't work that can't even get to fucking Cyprus. Oh, I don't want Britannia to rule the waves, but I would like us to be able to fucking sail them. Sure, we're an island. We have to have boats.
The Typhoon fighter jets, the Merlin and Wildcat helicopters that were already stationed in the region before the conflict even began. The UK was fully prepared with resources there to defend our interests in case this conflict started, and indeed it did start. Now our focus is...
That's the point. Did we consider sending it via Amazon shipping? They'd have got it there next day. $2.99 express delivery. It would have been perfect.
On de-escalation.
Let's now talk about what's happening here at home. Of course, everyone watching is worried about bills. They've already seen petrol prices go up. Your cost of living czar, Richard Walker, who Nick mentioned a few minutes ago, said you should look at capping the profits of energy companies. Would you consider doing that?
That's I know what they're doing there, but look, it's such a cock manoeuvre. Rather than taking them into public ownership, we'll just allow them to make a certain amount of money at our expense. Oh, thanks. You're only look. We're not going to stop slavery. We're just going to say you can only be slaves 4 days of the week. Like, thanks. Yeah, brilliant. What a fucking fantastically unsystemic look at the world.
Well, the government is taking action on bills. Your opening line there. In a week and a half, when we get to April, the average household energy bill will go down by £120 on average, and that's locked in for 3 months, regardless of what's happening in the Middle East.
But if prices go up, which everyone expects to happen, would you think about capping energy companies'
People
profits?
are going to see their bills go down. There's no need.
That's true. If they'd have sent it via Amazon, they'd have left it with the neighbour. Yeah.
Like,
it'd have been dropped off in Malta underneath a rock. Yeah.
It's worth pointing out again, like because we have a privatized system, we can't cap energy at a price that is unprofitable for the people producing the energy. They'll just fucking stop.
Yeah.
Unless we nationalize them, which of course we should, we can't force them to make energy at a loss. They'll just go, no.
Yeah.
We won't do that. Actually, enjoy your blackouts. Which is why we shouldn't rely on the private sector for this shit.
Yeah. They should have just sent HMS Victory. True. It's probably more fucking seaworthy. Also, who was it in my chat? The awesome person, the Scottish person who used to work in Sweden and they literally made big wooden boats, like old school, like fucking galleons and shit.
That's crazy.
And they were like sending me. And I was like, oh my god! They were part of the crew that made the biggest ocean-going wooden vessel on Earth right now. Which is, I was just like, fucking boat porn. Yes. Anyway, I can't give a duck. That was it. Yes, and we worked out that I can't give a duck is literally the Brexit dividend, because they were a Scottish person who worked in Sweden and then after Brexit couldn't get a visa, and so had to come back to Britain. So now we have an experienced boat maker back in the UK because of Brexit. So that's the sunlit uplands of Brexit, is the one person who watches me. Instead of making boats like they should be. Anyway,
it's a cap. Their bills will go down because of the action we took.
But would you look at capping energy companies' profits if we see what happened around the time of Ukraine?
The government will take what action is necessary. When we saw heating oil spike, the costs of that, the government stepped in with £53 million to support vulnerable households when that happened. We're monitoring.
Again, £53 million is nothing.
I mean, probably because very few people use heating oil.
Well, very possibly, but any policy that's in the tens of millions of pounds in a nation of 70 million people is nothing.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's mostly that there's very few people use heating oil, because most people will use the actual heating that they pay for through the actual providers, which is all done by the energy price cap. The reason why this is being specifically targeted at heating oil users, because they buy those on the open market themselves rather than go through a supplier, meaning it's not in any way curtailed by the energy price cap, right?
True. The way I keep warm is that I fuck all of your mums. Yeah. And what?
Also, by the way, anyone who's got a heat pump or any solar panels recently, enjoy feeling smug and correct.
Yes.
I wish I had done that.
Yeah.
Believe me, hour by hour, and as intervention is required, the government is making appropriate interventions, but we're already focusing on keeping bills down. Bills will go down a week and a half by £120 on average, regardless.
And we talked about that a lot last week with Ed Miliband, your colleague, the Energy Secretary, and there's a big meeting in Whitehall tomorrow with ministers and officials about what to do, and of course we'll watch closely what happens there. This, of course, comes at a time when political parties are heading into a big election campaign. There'll be elections all around England, Scotland and Wales. It's going to be a huge political moment. With your...
And there are going to be lots more of them now because you would have lost that legal case and then just backtracked because you're shit and you tried to block democracy for a second year, you shithouses.
It's incredible, really, how they spend so much time going after Boris Johnson for correctly, of course, for the illegally proroguing of Parliament, wanting to block democracy. And then they had to U-turn on this fucking council election delays, because literally there was like, there's going to be a judicial review. Oh well, we might lose because it might be illegal. Well, then you were always wrong from the fucking start, weren't you?
Yep.
Community Secretary, you want to make a big difference to local communities with funding communities directly, but the headwinds against you are so significant, aren't they? I mean, have you got any chance of turning your polls around?
Well, the situation is we can't.
You mean doing a stupid MAGA-style hat with "Build Baby Build" on it didn't win them the election? No one was turned around by that ridiculous thing, really.
And they didn't build they didn't build Baby Build, did they? Have you seen the house buildings working in London? It's fall off a fucking cliff.
Yeah, literally, they've managed to somehow build fewer houses than the no houses the Tories built. I don't know what they've done. Have they been knocking houses down? I don't know.
Can't, as a government, control the storms that may arise elsewhere in the planet. What we can do is make sure that we have a stable foundation for our economy so that we're best placed to weather those.
Well, thankfully, we fixed the foundation, so it's fine. Yeah.
Storms. So the fact that bills for energy will be going down by an average of £120 from in a week and a half when April begins, and that's locked in for 3 months, is because of the decisions this government took to stabilise the economy. So we've done the right thing there. Looking at the international situation, our focus is on protecting British people and British interests and working towards de-escalation. Here at home, we have to remain focused on the cost of living. That's why we're seeing those reductions in bills. It's why we're investing in more childcare. It's why we've increased the national minimum wage. It's why we've ended the two-child benefit cap to lift 500,000 children out of poverty. We are squarely...
That you kept in poverty deliberately for 18 months to stick it to the Corbynites.
Literally.
Focused on the cost of living, whatever is going on around the rest of the world.
But you are trying also to appeal to communities directly with what you're calling Pride in Place, this scheme where you're giving communities money directly, but many people feel so hard up and so...
I thought Pride in Place was a gay rights for fish march. Thank you.
So worried. How's that going to make a difference?
Well, I won't repeat all of the measures I just went through that we're doing to put more money into people's pockets, but the Pride in Place programme, we announced last week an additional 40 areas that will benefit, taking the total number up to nearly 300 now. These are 300 of the most held back communities that were left sinking and struggling under the Conservatives. They're getting up to £20 million for each area, with local people deciding how that money will be spent. We've just had the first wave of responses back from communities about what they want to spend it on. Overwhelmingly, it's been high streets, because people are angry when they see their high streets deteriorating, boarded up, covered in graffiti. They want to put Pride back. Now they've got the funding they need to do something to make their area better.
OK, Steve Reid, we must leave it there today. There's so much to get through this morning, but thanks very much indeed for joining us
It's
today.
funny, to be fair.
Well, as Steve Reid's just...
This is a genuinely reasonable plan, right? But it's basically what levelling up was supposed to be and then wasn't.
Yeah, pretty much. But to be honest with you, the actual plan on paper for levelling up was fine. It's just that it was like, oh, we gave you, you know, a community centre whiteboard. You should be happy with that.
It was mostly actually about like new town halls and stuff, and I'm like, these aren't amenities, I guess. I mean, but the Pride in Place funding is more about like beautification, from what I can glean from the policy documentation. A lot of it is, as he says, is about making sure that things are clean and tidy, and there's not like empty buildings and smashed up bits and pieces and the kind of leftover brutalisms of the 1970s, whatever. Like that's mostly, it seems like, what it is at this point in time. Which again is perfectly reasonable. People genuinely feel like the kind of the symbols of decline are the area they live not feeling nice anymore. And lots of people would try and attribute that to immigrants, right? That's the Farage line, is that the dirty immigrants, right? I remember Robert Jenrick going to Handsworth and essentially blaming migrants for why Handsworth is shit.
Yeah.
Rather than, I don't know, fucking 50 years of neoliberalism, 50 years of there's no such thing as society, 50 years of expecting people with private interests to take the public realm with the care that it deserves, rather than cheaply fuck it over for profit, you know?
Literally.
It's been telling us ministers are thinking about how to support consumers if bills go sky high. But what should you be bracing yourself for? Remember this? There she was. Liz Truss was Prime Minister. Last time there was a...
Was she? When did that happen?
the leap in energy prices, that was because of the war in Ukraine. And she spent tens of billions of pounds of taxpayers' money to help every single household pay their energy bills. Could the same happen again? But also,
So how did she spend that amount of money in that short a space of time? Like, she wasn't around long enough. How many billions of pounds a day is that? Jesus.
And to be fair, lots of the money that she ended up spending was stuff that she had earmarked through policy that then got doled out over time as people paid their bills, you know. But there was a funding specifically set aside for future bills to be capped through the energy price guarantee. And lots of that money wasn't even used. Because it's worth pointing out that oil and gas prices are based on futures markets. It's why there could be a massive gas and oil spike now, but we're seeing bills come down by £120 over the next 3 months. Is because the oil and gas price cap for energy is set by the futures market that the people who traded in these commodities bought at a certain time ago, not how much they're buying for now, which will affect gas prices in 6 months' time or whatever.
True. She should.
We pay.
Yeah, Liz Truss really should have planned this out more. Ironically, she wasn't very anal about it. I'll leave that there.
so how could the country protect itself in future? Centrica is the UK's biggest energy supplier and owns British Gas. You can see there one of its gas facilities, the biggest storage facility in the UK, and the boss of the company, Chris O'Shea, joins us this morning. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Laura.
We'll talk in a second.
Okay, like, where's his monocle? If he's not wearing a monocle, I can't take you seriously as a future punk dystopian overlord.
About what the solutions might be for the future, but to a lot of people this sounds like a very pressing immediate problem and it feels a bit scary. What could the scale of this shock be?
So look, it's very hard to predict. The first thing is that consumers are protected by the energy price cap. That price will go down on the 1st of April, and the way that works is that the regulator watches prices for a 3-month period and they set the prices for the coming 3 months based on that. So at the moment there is some speculation as to where prices will go from the 1st of July. But the reality is that we are less than 1 month into what's called the observation period. So we've got to wait and see what happens over the next 10 weeks. Now, Cornwall Insight, I think, have predicted that there's going to be an increase in prices. If it stays as it is, then...
I feel like they should have filmed him in sepia tone. I think it would have been better.
I think that's inescapable. But I don't think it's helpful to have the speculation at the moment because we have to see what's going to happen over the next 10 weeks.
But it's more than speculation, though, isn't it? I mean, we've seen for weeks now the oil price be sky high. The Cornwall Insight, those experts in energy, they predict a £300 extra for the average household from July further on. Is that potentially the kind of rise that we're looking at on that kind of scale?
I genuinely think it's too early to speculate because the prices there's been a lot of fluctuation. Prices have moved by up to 25% on a single day.
Given his accent, are we sure that this isn't actually just the SNP Scottish lead or SNP Westminster leader who's pretending not to roll his R's and is doing a character?
He should put on a fake beard.
Yeah, exactly. Put on a fake beard and pretend to be a different person.
I mean, Henry VIII Fake asks, even our gas storage is handled by private corporations, we're so screwed. Correction, our gas storage was handled by private corporations. We now no longer have gas storage because the private corporations stopped getting subsidy from David Cameron, so shut it down because, of course, they weren't making any money from this thing that's for public sector contingency and not for private profit. Well done, Thatcher. Well done, Cameron. Excellent. Really good statespeople, Thatcher and Cameron. Really put the long-term health of the country in the mind's eye when they were crafting policy.
Yes, putting the cunt into country.
So true.
And so I think we've seen quite a lot of movements. I think we really do have to wait and see. I don't want to alarm people. One thing to remember is that...
You can't look like that and say, I don't want to alarm people. You are literally a fucking steampunk villain. Shut up.
In the summer, so from the 1st of April to the 30th of September, we use 1/3 of our energy.
I would feel more at ease if a guy in a hazmat suit ran past me. Do you know what I mean? Like, that would be less alarming than this man calmly explaining futures markets to me.
In the UK, we use 2/3 in the winter, so prices are going down 1st of April, and we don't know where they're going to be 1st of July, but this is the point at which we're using less energy.
But in terms of the extent of the damage that we're seeing in the Middle East, you know, direct hits on oil and gas production, What do you think might be the implications for that, not just here, but everywhere? You know, oil and gas is an international market, and we've seen it, some of the infrastructure being destroyed in front of our eyes.
It is. So through the Strait of Hormuz, you've got, so the world uses about 100 million barrels of oil a day. We've lost about 20% of that through the Strait of Hormuz, so that has an impact on the oil market. Just over 20% of the world's LNG, liquefied natural gas, also passes through the Strait of Hormuz. But the vast majority...
Well, probably not a great idea to start a war right next to it then.
True, or indeed blow up the biggest fucking LNG refinery in the fucking world in Qatar. That was not a good idea, was it, Israel?
No.
The world's gas is actually pipeline, it's not LNG. So the loss of gas through the Strait of Hormuz being closed is about 3 or 4% of global gas. So the impact on gas and therefore on electricity bills should be lower than the impact on oil. So my gut feel is that you'll see more of an impact of this at the petrol pumps than you will in bills.
You're at the heart of discussions with the government about how to support households.
Why are they getting on some fucking CEO to explain geopolitics?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's and not just that, but why get on a guy who has a vested interest to pretend that the gas companies and the oil companies aren't evil scum who are profiteering off of this?
Yeah, and like on top of this is that he just seems to have missed the fact. Again, I said thank you, Israel. Obviously, it was Iran that struck the LNG plant in Qatar, because why would Israel attack Qatar? What would they be doing if that was the case, right? It was Iran that struck it, and that is, you know, I think 20% of all LNG in the world goes through that. Like, it's $20 billion worth that's been blown up. 20 billion.
Yeah.
In what just evaporated, you know.
Ed Miliband told us last week that the government would intervene if there was a big spike. Do you believe that we could see a repetition, or we should see a repetition of last time when there was universal support? Everyone got cash. Or should it be more targeted this time? What do you think?
So we've called for a long time for a social tariff, and a social tariff effectively uses data that the government has, the Department for Work and Pensions and HMRC, to determine people that can't afford energy, and they get a lower price than those that can afford, they may well.
Right, and that basically means the British government giving you millions of pounds. Because that's essentially, when you say they get given lower bills, it means the British state pick up part of that bill. Which, look, I've got no problem with, other than the fact that we should nationalise it anyway. But if we're not going to nationalise it, at least do that. But that means that you, rather than calling it a social fucking levy or whatever, it's basically a kickback for you and other oil executives.
Subsidy. That's
Yeah,
all it
it's
is,
not.
right?
Like, you're not doing it because you give a fuck about poor people. It's that you want to have more money.
That's true. That's true. And on top of this, like, it's analogous to what happened with council housing, which is that when we had council housing, people gave social tariffs, a social rent to the government, to local government, to be able to have a roof over their head, right? So whilst they still had to pay to be able to live, to be able to have a roof over their head, at least that money was going into the public purse, or at least their local public purse, to be spent on local amenities, went back into the economy for other working people to have access to.
And then when you have an actual levy on that, you can have council tax rebate for the poorest in your society, which doesn't mean propping up rich evil bastards, but funding the shortfall in council provision. So that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Whereas what we have now is we have a system of private renting, and because the council houses got sold off, and now 40% of them are in the hands of private landlords, the ones that got sold off under right to buy.
Yep.
And people who would rent those can't afford them because the rents are sky high, significantly higher than what council rents used to be. And so much so, they now get money from the government to help them pay for their rent to those private landlords in those things that used to generate revenue for the government. So if we take this analogy a step further, for example, given the fact that we could have not sold this man all of our oil and gas deposits in the North Sea, or at least a good amount of them, and now we are essentially paying him extra money because we can't afford our heating bills, when if we were extracting this ourselves, our money would be going to the state to be then spent again for the public good for everybody. Whereas this guy gets big fucking bonuses every year based upon how high our bills go and how much extra money we make him in profit.
Indeed, we took things that were net financial gains for the nation and turned them into financial losses for the nation.
These are supposed to be the business brains, by the way. These are supposed to be the great economic minds of our country. The right wing are supposed to be the ones who know all about economics and incentives and broader utility in terms of clearing the market. I mean, basic shit like don't sell something to somebody and then rent it back to pay them significantly more than what you sold it for is a bad deal.
Yeah. Literally, this was true 20 years ago, so God knows how many times they could have done it now. For the amount of money that's been pumped into the quote-unquote privatised railways, we could have relayed every inch of track in the nation. Think about that. We could have an entirely new train network for less money than has been given to private rail companies to run a system poorly and expensively for a system that cannot make a profit. Brilliant. Thanks. Genuinely thank you. Thatcher and Major, you fucking butchers.
Pay more. So you could have something that's self-funding, doesn't require any money from the Treasury. But I do think targeted help is far better than blanket help.
Was it a mistake last time then to give everybody such a generous support?
Well, no, I think the last time the government was faced with something, and this was about the time, I think, where there was a Conservative Party leadership contest between Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss, and actually it was quite mature. Both of them had agreed that whoever won would put this thing in place, but they were working against time, and so it was quite...
Is it surprising that Rishi Sunak lost an election to Keir Starmer when he lost an election to Liz Truss and a lettuce?
Literally, imagine losing to all three of those things. Just an endless fucking cavalcade of political humiliation for Rishi Sunak.
Like, it doesn't matter how rich you are, you can never erase that shame from your record.
True.
Yeah.
Time pressured, and their view was the only way to do this was to make it blanket. We've already had meetings with government just now, so I think you have to learn all the time, and so hopefully we've got more time now to understand what to put in.
Did we get a raid? I don't see a notification, but hello raiders. Whoever raided in, make yourself known and I will shout
It's
you
on the
out.
YouTubes, maybe.
Possibly. I don't know. Why doesn't YouTube tell me things? God damn it.
It does a little notification in the chat box, which doesn't make any sound or feed through to the broadcast software at all. It just goes whoop, and that's it.
Well, whoever it was, follow them. And I don't mean follow them on YouTube, I mean follow them in the street. Tell me what they're up to.
So they are looking at targeted support.
I hope so.
Last time this happened, when there was a price spike, Centrica...
Oh, My Left Eye. Well, hello, My Left Eye. Everyone go follow My Left Eye. Otherwise, I will fuck you up with love.
Its profits, along with some energy companies, really went up. Centrica's profits tripled to $3 billion. Now, we've heard from Richard Walker, the cost of living czar, that he thinks there should be a cap on profits. Would that be the right thing to do?
So we already have a cap. Energy retail companies in the UK have a cap. It's regulated, so there's the price cap, which is where the pricing comes out.
Well, thankfully, Ofgem are really, really good and have lots of teeth and can enforce their rules very, very well. I have faith in that system. There has been no regulatory capture whatsoever. It's fine.
And again, like, so little of that would be relevant again, because just like we are entirely beholden to whether or not these companies make profit or not. Like, Ofgem could be as captured or as uncaptured as they would like to be. And the basic fulcrum which all of this lies is that we cannot make bills cheaper unless without, reducing the profit of the energy companies. And if they go to no profit, they will stop making the energy and we have blackouts. That is just a simple fact of this. And that is a terrible decision that we made to privatize it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely ludicrous. Again, all of the things that can't make a profit or shouldn't make a profit should not ever, ever, ever be in private hands.
Yep.
Different to your profits being capped.
No, indeed, but that's a cap on the biggest part of the profits that we've got, British Gas Energy. I think where you look at things like upstream oil, now we don't do any oil production, but I think what he was talking about was companies like BP and Shell. I think he was talking about the petrol pumps. I think you've got to...
Why do we have czars now? I don't know why they're doing this all of a sudden. All I'll say is, in very rare situations am I a Leninist. But when it comes to czars...
Be quite careful, because that's a very cyclical business. And if you want to put a cap on profits when they're making a lot of money, Well, are you going to help when they're losing a lot of money? I spent many years working for one of those companies, and it's hugely cyclical. So you go from making lots of money and making no money, and you balance out at a reasonable level.
But if there is a sort of emergency situation like this, I mean, last time round, there was a lot of public concern that companies like yours made lots of money because of the spike in the energy prices because of a conflict.
So I think what you've...
Yeah, literally, you're making money off of the blood of innocent people. You fucking ghoul. You monster.
See, I'm going to predict, right? I'm going to do a prediction, champ. I'm going to do a prediction. Is that he's going to say something like, well, we have a retail arm called British Gas, and that didn't make any money because they're just a supplier. There was money that was made because of extraction in the North Sea. That's because the price went up, and we can't control those prices. Yes, you can. You can. If you wanted to sell this cheaper, like directly to the government, for example, you could have done that if you wanted to, but you didn't.
Yep.
You chose to pay the price that would be the maximum that you could be able to charge for it because that maximizes profits in a market-driven system, and you did do that. But you didn't have to.
Yep.
What you find is, though, that the tax rate went to 78%. And so 4/5 of what's made goes to the government. And that still stays in...
Okay, yeah, cool. But what we weren't asking about that, were we? We were asking about your company price gouging because of a war. You fucking demon.
In place for oil and gas production in the UK and for some electricity production as well. So if you've got a situation where the exchequer takes 4/5 of what you're making, I'm not sure there's much more room for manoeuvre. But I'd be very...
You made $3 billion. You made £3 billion. No. That needs to be stressed. He's like, we're making a pittance here. The government is got its boot on our neck. We made $3 billion. That's nothing. How can I feed my children with $3 billion?
And on top of this, like he says, well, I don't think there's much room for manoeuvre when we've already got 78% taxation. 100%.
My friend Gil doesn't want you to have any fucking room for manoeuvre. We'll leave it there.
Yeah,
Jesus.
like if it were nationalised, we'd get 100%, and that is like an extra third on top, which is significant.
Yeah,
it's significant.
You know what? You should have a limited room for manoeuvre, i.e., the room of the prison cell that you should be in because you're an evil bastard. Yeah. And what?
Very interested to understand exactly what Richard Walker's proposing.
There are a lot of calls to do things differently, including more exploration in the North Sea and other ways of sort of future-proofing the UK from this. Should there be more exploration, or what else should the government do to better protect the UK?
So we think that there's a need for us to focus on energy security. I mean, I think you showed a picture. You visited the Rough facility, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, which is the UK's largest gas storage facility. I think we need to look at getting more gas storage. We need to look at getting more homegrown renewables. We need to look at more batteries. And I do think that we should look at producing the resources that we've got ourselves. Now, we don't do that in Centrica.
Look how shit that looks. I mean, it's probably fine and working, but look how shit
That's
it looks.
the one that's closed down.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it probably looks like it needs to. It's rusty. Like, that's so Britain. The best thing we had was a rusty old clapped out piece of shit that doesn't even exist anymore. Brilliant.
This is not us talking around, but we don't produce in the North Sea anymore. We've sold that business. But it makes sense that if you've got resources, you should... It's not a silver bullet. Rough's not a silver bullet. Nothing in it's...
Don't do the joke about bullets, Kev. Don't. You don't. Terms of service and legality are against you on this one.
In and of itself will fix this. But these activities will bring prices down. Now, they won't isolate the UK. We're part of a global system, but they will bring prices down.
So if the UK government said, yes, more exploration, that could make a difference.
Weasel words, right?
Yeah.
That's weasel words. He says, well, it'll definitely bring prices down. Well, yeah, like, me punching the wall certainly it helps to bring down the wall, but that helps in, like...
Yeah. It's like you bring a dustpan and brush to a fucking earthquake site.
Yeah, like you take a dustpan and brush to Gaza.
Exactly. Like, yeah, technically you can clean up a bit of it, not noticeably, not to any significant extent.
it would definitely make a difference, but it wouldn't make a difference just in the UK. It would make a difference across Europe.
Okay, Chris O'Shea, thanks so much.
Ironically, he's more evil than his lookalike Dr. Robotnik.
This is really funny. He says, "It'll make a difference across Europe." I'm like, yes, the tiny, insignificant extra would make some change to the European traded gas price per therm by like 0.000000023%.
And then Norway can go, okay, we'll sell double that difference and then just completely wipe it out and add more to it because they've got lots more oil and their nation actually benefits from extracting that oil as well.
Yep.
Brilliant. Thanks. Honestly, can we invade Norway? Or actually, no, fuck it. Can Norway invade us? Because we don't even have the ships to get there, apparently.
Special military operation to denazify Britain. Let's go.
Exactly. Oslo. Our people cry out for freedom.
Much for coming in. It's a busy time for you, no doubt, as it is for politicians.
Thanks
Thanks
for
very
having me,
much
Laura.
indeed
Thank
for your
you.
time this morning. And remember, of course, we want to know what you think. You can email us, kuenssberg@bbc.co.uk. Or if you're a social media kind of person, you can use the hashtag BBC Laura Kay. Let us know what you think. Interesting there to hear the Centrica boss say there should be more exploration in the North Sea. Last week, Ed Miliband told us he wasn't going to let there be more exploration in the North Sea. So there we are. Differences of opinion are what this programme is made of. Lots of debate. Stephen, it does look like energy prices are on the way up. Chris O'Shea there didn't want to panic people, but he said they're probably inescapable. What do you think the government ought to do in response?
Yeah, I mean, Chris was very clear about where the direction of travel is. I don't think Steve Reid necessarily was trying to say to the public, things are going to get better in the next few weeks, ignoring the fact that in just a few months' time, energy bills will probably be about £700, £800 higher than what the Labour Party promised prior to the election. I think a confident government would be clearer with the public about what's actually happening, both in terms of energy bills, but also in terms of how far a missile has gone. Look, I think what the UK government are going to do is change their policies. They're going to change their policies when it comes to taxation of the North Sea. They're going to change their policies when it comes to licensing of the North Sea as well, because what they will understand...
Yeah, because they're going to change Prime Minister in 6 months. You know?
I mean, probably 2 months.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Right
May
now,
elections.
is security of supply is imperative.
So you mean more licences and less tax on oil and gas?
So what we absolutely fundamentally need is to make sure that we have a secure system. Renewables is the future in that regard, and I'm fully supportive of it.
This is the sort of bind that the SNP are in. They kind of want to be a bit green, because like that's obviously scientifically worthwhile and kind of progressive, but also the only chance Scotland has got financially is the fact that it does have oil.
This motherfucker represents Aberdeen.
Yeah, yeah.
Like half his voters probably work in the industry.
Yeah, there's that too, certainly. But I mean, more broadly, even people who don't, even people who have no constituency oil workers who are SNP are like, maybe we should have some exploration. Because they realise, look, if those rigs go into the ground now, they'll start producing oil in time for independence. You know.
Of that. But whilst we have demand, what we should be doing is making sure as much of that demand as possible is met from our resources. So we don't outsource investment, we don't outsource jobs, we don't outsource energy security, and we can do that with the flick of a switch.
Nick, it's a very difficult balance, though, for this government, isn't it, in terms of what to do? You know, Liz Truss's government spent £40 billion.
Again, pause, by the way.
Very clear the government...
Stephen's saying that somehow we'd get extra energy security by opening up new oil and gas licenses. Nope. No, we wouldn't.
No, that's not true.
That's just not true. We would get some jobs. Yeah, not a huge amount of jobs. Would we get energy security? Not a sausage. Not at all. Unless, of course, they set up a state-owned oil drilling
Which,
company,
to be
which they
fair,
won't.
an SNP divorced of like the chains of Westminster would be able to do, and might even be willing to do.
Yeah,
So,
true.
You never know.
is looking at targeted support rather than a universal payout. Difficult too in terms of their commitment to renewable energy in the North Sea.
Let's go back to your interview with Steve Reid. You talked about the headwinds and that they how affect the local elections, to which Mr Reid responded, we can't control storms that occur around the planet. No, none of our voters, none of your viewers think it, but what you can control is your reaction, and that is where this government will be judged. Another aspect which I just have to...
I mean, literally, people do think that the government can control like international activity. I saw somebody on fucking Twitter trying to blame Keir Starmer for the fact the price of petrol went up. Motherfucker had proud Zionist in his Twitter bio.
Well, he's just trying to deflect actual blame from the people who did it.
Stop it.
Yeah.
For once, Keir Starmer is not to blame in this regard.
Well, there you go. But ironically, given that that Nick Ferrari has just said that the government should do stuff, he's outflanked the Labour government to the left. Facts.
You quite rightly pressed him on these missiles that were launched. Apparently, operational details could help the Iranians. I'm sorry, your viewers will just be scoffing at that. It gives the sense of a government that is trying, but is not on top of the problems here, whether it's in the middle of what Diego Garcia, or whether it's the petrol bills and energy bills, and exactly what's going to happen in their households.
The Iranians presumably know where the missiles went because they were their missiles.
That is risible.
I mean, Karen, you're a defence expert. Can you help us then with this? Because
she says, "Oh, they were there. Iran should know they were their missiles." This still has not been proven.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just taking that as read. And again, it's like with when Corbyn said, maybe we should wait to see who actually did the poisoning in Salisbury rather than jumping to any conclusions. Like, it did turn out it was Russia, but you can't fucking just declare that as if you already know. There needs to be an investigation of some kind, surely.
Yeah, I think we probably will end up finding out that it was Iran that launched the missiles. Like, what other power in the region, other than Israel, would have the power with which to, would have the technology with which to be able to strike Diego Garcia from that range,
Well, we know the Americans don't have great aim.
It's true.
They might have been aiming for Tehran and because AI is weird. AI might have confused Tehran with Diego Garcia. Glitch in the Matrix and all that, Yes. Thank you, Story Girl. With the... I'm not entirely sure how to take this, really. They say, thank you for this resubscription. Wow, I keep forgetting to turn this off. I hope you're all well. So do you mean like you keep forgetting to not renew the thing, so you've given me money that you didn't want to? I mean, okay, like I get it, but... turn it off then. Turn it off now. And then it won't happen next month, I guess.
People will remember John Healey, the Defence Secretary, sat in that chair a few weeks ago and said, yes, missiles came within 300 yards or metres. Forgive me, I can't remember which.
To be fair, Eric, I will say the denial by Iran might very well have come after this show was broadcast live earlier today. So when you say they didn't mention it, they might not have known it. It might not have happened yet.
True.
Like, I rarely will give any benefit of the doubt to Laura Kuenssberg. On this one, linear time suggests it's possible she would not have known that.
It's true, but it is, I guess, an important kind of data point whenever, for example, people say Israel has committed genocide in Gaza, which is the overwhelming consensus of genocide scholars and human rights organizations and, of course, the United Nations, right? And people will always respond with, well, Israel denies those claims.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you think they're going to show the same level of journalistic diligence when it comes to Iran?
The best example of that was when they were discussing Prince Andrew on Question Time, if you remember, a few weeks ago, and she said he hasn't released a statement, but we assume he denies any illegality took place. What do you mean you assume what? Look, if you release a statement saying that and you relay that to the audience, that's news. You are just running defense for a fucking nonce at that point. What the fuck?
literally.
Ridiculous. Oh, apparently Story Girl was just engaging in droll Australian humour, which, I mean, I like humour, I don't like Australians. So, 50-50.
UK...
I'm still sore about the Ashes. We don't want to talk about it.
UK troops, I think he told us, in Cyprus. What's your understanding of how far these missiles went from Iran towards the British and US base, Diego Garcia?
Well, I mean, I only know what everyone else is saying, but I wouldn't stop at worrying about the missiles, unfortunately. I would worry about even potential for drones to interfere with UK airspace. We saw that in Poland and Estonia.
Hang on. Eric, Defence for a Nonce is not a fantastic name for a band, actually. You've gone very super hands there. We need to call it Free the Pedos. Make a strong political statement.
But you've got to do it. You've got to do it stylized like a Radiohead song. It's like defense, brackets for a nonce.
Although, given that Tom York is such a Zionist, defence for a nonce, just saying, if you've got a side project, mate.
Defence for a nonce Wakanda.
True.
And also, like, it reminds me when my brother was in high school. It was
hang on, time out. De-yankification times.
I guess secondary school, yeah.
Thank you.
He described he was in a band called "I Believe You Have My Stapler," which is a quote from Office Space. For those who don't know,
that's cool. That sounds like a really cool 2000s indie band. Yeah.
Yeah, and they decided to stylize it with an exclamation mark after you. So it's "I believe you have my stapler" because it's a parody on "Godspeed You, Black Emperor."
Jesus, that is a deep cut. Fuck me. That's so 2000s it hurts. Who remembers Tamagotchis and not iPad, what was it called? The little fucking thing. I can't remember.
iPod, like the fucking classic iPod.
Yeah, the original iPod. Which is still that's still the technology we take for granted. That old record collection used to take up the entire wall of a house. And then you could get all of those songs and more onto a thing that you can fit in the small pocket of your jeans, inside the main pocket. Mad. And we're just like, yeah, that's just normal now. That's fine. Yeah. Shatner's Bassoon is a good name for a band.
It stimulates the part of the
Arm
brain
drones
called
as well. I mean,
Shatner's
don't forget about
bassoon.
that. So let's not just worry about ballistic missiles. And then, of course, the Iranians are very good at cyber attacks, and we've seen that as well over the years. So there's a lot to be concerned about, and there are a lot of different areas that the UK needs to worry about protecting.
And one of them is, of course, defence spending. You know, I mean, this debate has been rising up the rails for the last couple of years anyway, but how would you make the case to politicians to put more money into defence right now when money for everything is so tight?
Well, I mean, it's incredibly important. I think that really the challenge has been convincing the public of the need to increase defense spending because there'll be trade-offs and likely with welfare or other types of spending. And in the middle of a crisis, I think it's easier to make the case than not.
And Stephen, what would you cut to spend?
That's true. Australia does have to deal with some creatures, yeah. Drop bears and spiders and Steve Smith being a cheating cunt. That sort of thing, you know.
More in defence?
I don't actually think you need to. I think what you need to
You
do
don't?
is I think what you need to do is replicate what the Germans have done. They changed their constitution so that they could hold
invade Poland? What?
hold it out with their debt levels. Now we should just do the same, and we should be open and honest about that. And the government are obviously worried about the rules that they've put in place. But if the Germans can do it, why can't we? And that would allow us to feel secure, to make sure we've got that investment, whilst also
MP3 players. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is basically a precursor of the iPod. Yeah.
protecting people here at home during what is an ongoing and worsening cost of living crisis.
Well, that conversation is going to continue, but also the conversation about what effect this war is having abroad. There is a dizzying set of implications. It's not just about what happens here at home. Earlier this week, President Zelensky was in London and other European capitals trying to urge his...
I'm going to sound rude now.
You read my mind, Kev. You read my mind. There's always one interview we skip.
Do we give a fuck about... I mean, who is essentially the celebrity fluff on this episode? Albeit that he is the president of a country as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, an important president too, given the, like, he is now helping the United States, which is a huge reversal in fortunes. I'm interested in whatever fucking Zombie Curtis has to say, though.
Yeah, that's true. Hang on, we'll skip past your man. Apologies for the burpee. Oh, that is a face. Oh,
that is a face, isn't it?
God almighty. That is the kind of face that could kill, and has.
I think he's probably filling his pockets right now with copious amounts of money, because he is the major winner out of Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu's illegal war. It's financing his war effort here in Europe, and we can't just simply ignore that fact. It's why we need a quick and sustainable diplomatic solution to this that gives Donald Trump an off-ramp, which makes him feel like...
I think he was talking about Vladimir Putin. I was
Yeah.
I was about to say, for a second, I thought, has he gone like full tankoid here? What the fuck? I thought he was talking about like Zelensky's filling his pockets with our money, the cunt. NATO, bitch! Like, yeah. Okay, fair enough.
he's won something, even though he probably hasn't. But what a hero Zelensky is, in contrast to all of those people. And that's something which continues to inspire all of us.
Nick, with all this instability, and politicians can say, let's have a diplomatic solution, but it doesn't seem that many people have got that much faith in that happening. Do you think anyone in this country has got much sympathy for the Prime Minister having to deal with this picture?
I think they have now. I think he had a poor start. I think the fact that we did not allow our bases to be used to defend British military personnel and indeed British citizens in the area, that was a mistake.
You fucking bloodthirsty piece of shit. Like, literally go fuck yourself.
I think he's come round to
anyone
it. But
bother, reading any polls, just speaking to anyone on the ground? None of these people know anyone normal. Literally, none of these people have ever stood near a normal human.
Well, literally, he had to learn about the increase in fucking gas from his chauffeur. Of course, he doesn't understand anything about what the real world is. He listens. Like, the only people he talks to are weird gammanoids on the fucking radio. That's his understanding of the word. So of course he thinks we should bomb the shit out of Tehran. Yeah, because all of the people, to defend British freedoms, we need to kill all the Iraqi and Iranian babies. You know, that's the fucking people. He literally fucking Barry Shitpeas from Brighton, you know?
Continual citing of international law, which I think we're going to hear more about through the course of this coming week. Of course we want international law, but when you have figures like Putin, when you have figures like the Tehran regime, when you have President Xi, sometimes...
Sorry, de-yankification, I said gas and I meant petrol. I apologise.
Also, like him out there saying, oh, well, we of course we want international law, but when you have leaders out there like Putin and Khamenei and Xi Jinping, and I'm like, what illegal invasions has Xi Jinping authorised, Nick? What illegal invasions have been done by the Chinese government in recent memory? I think you'll find none.
Tibet, I guess, but that was a while ago.
And that was the previous.
Well, that wasn't Xi, but it's the same Chinese government.
That's true. That's true. But Xi Jinping's got a very, very kind of specific ideology, which was very different from
which is do nothing, win. Yeah.
Well, yeah, from the Hu Jintao's the recent past and shit like that. Either way, you're like Tibet is is the last time that happened, and it's and you're looking at all the fucking barbarity that's been inflicted on the world by Israel, just consistently, especially in obviously Palestine and in Lebanon and in Syria, and you're like, so the rogue states supposed to be the ones who keep to themselves? I mean, obviously Putin is a leader of a rogue state, but he just does the same shit that Israel does. Netanyahu and Putin, two peas in a pod, and he's going we have to suspend international law to protect ourselves from these people. I'm like, no. International law is for the global south to protect itself against America. It's for the Middle East to protect itself against Israel. They're the aggressors. They're the imperialists. They're the expansionists. They're the ones who are engaging in illegal belligerent action. They're the ones who have broken international law more than anybody else.
Literally. Of all of the UN resolutions against countries, Israel has more than any other, by far.
He's literally out here going, well, we have to break international law to justify why breaking international law is good. It's a circular argument.
Yep. Thank you, Iwood Historian, for giving a sub to the absolute king of the wooden boats. I can't give a duck. Have you thought about making small boats and giving them to the people of northern France? I'm sure Nigel Farage would love it.
You must of course look to international law, but you can't allow yourself to be bound by international law. Otherwise, you're just going to be a weak.
You can't allow yourself to be bound by international. It's not a law then. What you're suggesting is the international suggestions.
Like the bit from Pirates of the Caribbean, we might think of them as guidelines.
Yeah, exactly. Like international, if you can be bothered. You know, it's not a law if you can just choose not to bother.
I mean, to be fair, the thing is that of course the global north never bothered.
Well, the thing is, right?
Done by there was always laws. There were always laws that were enforced on the global south by the global north.
Like murderers, shouldn't feel themselves bound by laws against killing people. I've always felt.
Literally. Well, again, it's just like David Lammy say. Well, Israel and America should be allowed to make their own interpretation of international law, and I'm like, no, that's the opposite of how that's supposed to work.
Yeah, otherwise, why bother having a trial? Just ask the person on trial whether they did it or not.
Yeah.
And then whatever they say is the verdict.
Weak player. I'm not suggesting we move boots on the ground for a second, but you have to be realistic in the world we find ourselves.
Karen, what is the realistic way out of this, though?
Well, I mean, Trump will just declare victory and at some point, because, of course, this is hurting the U.S. economy. You talked about gas prices in the U.K. Everyone in America drives by gas stations, and they're up over $4 a gallon, so it's almost double. They lost 92,000 jobs in February. The stock market is not doing well. And so those are the indices that he actually carries.
Wow, it's almost like he's not very good at running things.
True. Also, very good point, Ben. An international law that protects the global north but does not bind them, and binds the global south but does not protect them. Wow, it's almost like conservatism is evil.
Literally.
Cares a lot about.
And what are the long-term implications of this conflict, though, do you think, even if he pulls out quickly?
Well, if he pulls out quickly and the regime stays in place, it'll be a significantly weakened regime, and they will feel that they can come back in another time if Iran looks...
It's not that weakened. Especially given that, and this is the thing that always happens, you fucking idiots, when there's a war, people rally around the leadership because they're the only ones that can protect them. And it's like a national thing. People don't like being bombed by countries or invaded and occupied by countries. It's always the case. To go back to my obvious example, the Second World War, even people who hated the Stalinist regime fought for it. Because who else was going to fucking defend them?
Yep.
Like, it's so ludicrous. The idea that this is going to endear the people of Iran to us. Are you fucking joking? They're literally fucking dying en masse and having fucking gasoline rain. What the fuck? That's like some biblical plagues devil shit. We've made gasoline rain on their fucking heads. Like literally like the Matrix. We don't know who started the war, but we set the sky on fire. We're literally the fucking Matrix cunts. Anyway, there's no strategy here. There's literally Benjamin Netanyahu and leading Donald Trump by the fucking tiny cock.
Looks like it's rebuilding its nuclear capabilities. If there's a civil...
Nuclear. America, for the last time, pronounce the word properly, you fucking bastards.
war and things change, then it could get really ugly. And there's a very small chance that, you know, something good could emerge from this, but it's a very small chance.
So much at stake. All three of you, thank you. Be back with you shortly, because now we are going to start the clock. On May the 7th, millions of us will be able to vote in a huge set of elections in Scotland and Wales, and more than 100 councils in England. So as we begin our countdown to the ballot box, of course, who better to lay it all out for us than Professor Sir John Curtis. Here he is.
The reanimated corpse of John Curtis.
With the first in 2026.
An excellent innings from Mr. Curtis.
The crypt master himself.
Of his 60 seconds on Sunday.
Is the traditional Conservative Labour dominance of British...
I did tell you, chat. I did tell you.
...politics over? That is the key question. The results of the elections on May the 7th will answer. Both parties are on less than 20% in the polls.
Adults in the room, everyone. Gotta love some sensible politics, haven't you?
Reform have been ahead for nearly a year. The Greens are enjoying a surge, while the Liberal Democrats often do well in local elections. Wales elects a new devolved Senate. In 2021, Labour came first and the Conservatives second. But now the contest is seemingly between Plaid Cymru and Reform. In the Scottish Parliament...
Again, this is just... Britain is essentially behind the curve of the rest of European politics, where those traditional parties have either been significantly weakened or, in the case of France, swept aside. The old French Conservatives and Socialists basically are fundamentally non-existent as political parties anymore. And so you get like En Marche and fucking Jean-Luc Mélenchon and whoever else, right, coming forward in their stead. This is what's happening now. The neoliberal consensus that everyone fucking hates, that's been embodied by the middle-of-the-road, ground-chasing pricks from the Social Democrat / Conservative uni party across the entirety of Europe, is crumbling, and rightly fucking so.
Exactly. I mean, I guess the reason why the UK is so far behind is because we also have an incredibly antiquated voting system, which keeps people locked into the failing uni party, even if they don't want to be. There's no such thing as tactical voting in a Don methods proportional system. Why would you vote tactically? You vote for who you want, right? Whereas we are literally forcing people to vote for parties that they fucking hate forever, and having done so for so long, they've basically snapped and gone, no, fuck it, none of this anymore. And so we're seeing the parties just absolutely collapse in a heap, right? Because whilst we saw with like the Parti Socialiste and Les Républicains, there was a kind of a gradual tailing off and kind of people moving towards Macron. Like the Republican kind of went down, the Socialist also kind of went down. Whereas this, we're just seeing two parties, government dead, just completely collapsing in a heap. Almost seemingly overnight, because that's what happens with first past the post. You force people to do it forever, and then they go away rather than.
Well, exactly, because it's a little bit like the old thing about poverty happens very, very slowly and then very quickly. This essentially, like you say, being locked into the system of first past the post, so you vote for the lesser of two evils, essentially leads to that. The undermining of that very stability and that system has been very slow and gradual, and now we're seeing the very quick breakdown of that, because the stabilization that was underneath all of that has been taken away, and so it's crumbling, it's falling away. And rightly so. They've deserved it. Both of those parties have earned their place in the fucking gutter of history.
And what's interesting as well is the fact that there's a specific incentive structure that first past the post creates that has allowed this to happen. Because you'll notice that the big voter groups that have abandoned the Conservatives and Labour are their base. Their base has deserted them.
Yeah.
Well, the Conservatives, because of governmental failure, because they kept lying about what they were going to do, because Conservative voters didn't really care about all the poor people that were being killed, that they wanted to die, really, but they didn't care really that much. Turns out that poor murder, like democide, was less important to them than no more Browns, and the Conservative Party let migration get up to 1 million, right? So they totally deserted them, as well as obviously the crashing of the economy under Liz Truss and mortgage rates going up, whatever. And that is because the Conservative Party were chasing voters in the centre who were the swing demographic, right? Then the Labour Party chased the swing demographic voter in the middle, and they chased it by essentially telling everybody that their left flank were all monsters and anti-Semites and Trotskyists and students and children, and they told them that the door was open and they could leave, specifically, first of all, because they hate them themselves, but second of all, as a show of force. It was a performative gesture to the electorate that we are nowhere associated with the Corbyn of old. You can vote for us middle-class people in Saffron Walden. Honestly, you can. You'll be safe with us. Your mortgage rate will stay low, and we won't feed the kids, and we won't do anything that a Labour government should do. And so the bottom fell out of the Labour coalition, or their actual left flank, their base, went elsewhere. You do not get that in a proportional system. You don't get this necessity of specifically appealing to everybody other than everyone who actually likes you already, because you actually have to keep your base happy, because they can go elsewhere any time under proportional representation.
Indeed so.
Parliament election, the SNP are again ahead in the polls, and now Reform are threatening to take second place. Meanwhile, over 5,000 council seats are at stake in England, where Reform came first last year. London, where every council seat is up for grabs, is less promising for Reform, but here the Greens could prove the main challenger. Both Keir Starmer...
Honestly, if Labour lose London, they've got nothing.
It's going to be... I mean, I was very surprised, because London is the one area, obviously house building is a problem, but London you can literally point to Labour being in government and doing well. Sadiq Khan is a good mayor. Sadiq Khan is liked as a mayor. He's won election after election after election. But the failure, and again, just the actions broadly of telling people that they hate them, right? Literally, the Labour Party in Westminster tells everybody in their immediate vicinity who votes for them that they're cunts and they should fuck off and die, despite the fact that Sadiq Khan doesn't do this. But when it comes to the local council elections, but having a good mayor is not enough when the actual government of the country is telling you that you're Trotskyists who deserve to be treated as persona non grata.
Yeah.
And Kemi Badenoch will be hoping...
Who? Kendrick? Was Kendrick Lamar involved in this? What?
That the pollsters are proved wrong.
Well, the Tories haven't had an entirely straightforward first week of their campaign. Nick Timothy, the Shadow Justice Secretary, caused a storm with his remarks about a Ramadan event in central London. He said the iftar gathering for public prayers to mark the break of the daily Ramadan fast was an act of domination. He said it was straight from the Islamist playbook.
Literally like some Tommy Robinson shit.
I think it's worth pointing out this is fascist language, right?
Yeah,
like, this is
100%.
explicitly fascist language. I was talking about this with Barry on Thursday. It's really reminiscent, in fact, I think, of the way that the Nazis talked about Jews. It's very, very reminiscent of kind of Judeo-Bolshevism conspiracy theorizing, of this idea of some kind of alliance between Marxists and a faith minority group. It was Jews back then, hence Judeo-Bolshevism, and it's called Islamo-leftism now. This idea that Marxists and Islamists are uniting to overthrow the West through subterfuge, right? And the way in which they frame it, they are framing these people as a kind of unique threat to the state itself. And on the right wing, especially far-right ideology, the nation-state is king. It is the most important thing to defend. And if you genuinely feel like you're under attack, then you would go to any lengths to defend it, right? You have a right to defend the nation-state from subversive entities. And when it came to the Nazis, right, of course there were all of their weirdo and fucking sane, like, racial conspiracy theories and kind of race science behind a lot of what they believed. But fundamentally, the way they sold it to the public is that we believe in the nation state having primacy. We believe in the primacy of the nation state. This underbelly of scheming Jews are the ones who are to blame if it fails. Therefore, we have to genocide them to justify, to protect the Volk, you know? And that's obviously Nick Timothy's not talking in genocidal language, but he's talking about Muslims the way Nazis talked about Jews in the 1930s, when they were laying the groundwork for ethnic cleansing.
That's literally the point, yeah. It never starts at the gates of Auschwitz, it ends there.
Yeah.
The start of this is to see a group as an other. To start to see a group as not just an other, but a threat. A threat, an internal and external threat. A kind of combo. That you have the external of like Muslims in Iran that are going to bomb us, and you have the internal where you have these Muslims who are going to dominate, which by the way has like the kind of weird sexual overtones as well, because of course they literally see them as weakening the white people by having brown babies with our white girls, etc., etc. It's all tied up in patriarchy and all kinds of fucking weird shit, which is, of course, why they say military-age men, you know, for the number of people coming in.
Exactly.
Because, again, it's about seeing them as not just a threat, but an existential threat, which, like you say, then leads inexorably to, well, if there's an existential threat, then we have to use extreme countermeasures to react to that. You're lighting a fire under some very, very dangerous people.
I mean, at the moment, the rhetoric these people have started with is the idea of remigration, right? Which is essentially ethnic cleansing, mass deportations, whatever it is. But if these people refuse to go, that could end up in concentration camps incredibly quickly. And it's worth pointing out, too, the reason why I made this comparison specifically is that racism has historically taken an ideological framework from the idea of a race being superior, right?
Yeah.
The superiority of the white race is what race science is built off of, that created, of course, like Nazism, but also was used to justify colonialism and racism of like Britain and the United States, for example, too, right? It was the manifest destiny was because of the superiority of the colonizers, the superiority of the white race. Yet, the way Nazis treated Jews, the racism they said towards Jews, was not about necessarily superiority. It was about them being a threat. It was about them not being seen as being worse, but as being an enemy, which is, again, that's not projecting weakness onto them, it's projecting strength onto them. Although you can say, because it's fascism, they would project weakness at the same time. Yeah. And that's what's changed in the rhetoric. Previously, they would say, we are superior to the backwards, barbaric Muslims. That's the way the white nationalists would usually frame it. Their framing was that Muslims are lesser than us. But now, it's not lesser, it's about threat. It's about trying to hype them up to be this existential, as you say, threat, which is that fulcrum that's changed in how the racism is being framed to the public.
Indeed. Solly, just to clarify, it wasn't a Labour politician who said this. This was Nick Timothy, the shadow immigration secretary or whatever the fuck.
Shadow Justice. Lord Chancellor is the official name, by the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Shadow Lord Chancellor, who said this. But yes, the Labour Party are fucking right-wing cunts as well. Marcel Paul, thank you. He says, in France, the far right have been talking about Islamo-Gauchism, Islamo-leftism for a while.
Gauchisme, yes, indeed, yeah.
I'm not going to dignify the French by pronouncing things correctly. They'll think I have respect for them.
I mean, that is where... that's where Islamo-leftism came from. That was Islamo-Gauchisme is literally the kind of the progenitor kind of framework to discuss this thing. Again, because there are Nazis in the second biggest party in France.
Yeah.
Labour said those remarks...
Like, I will rarely give Labour Party any credit, but like literally Sadiq Khan attended this event, which is something.
Yeah.
Were abhorrent, but he was back.
And they did, again, the right-wing freaks, they've been talking about this for a while. Like, Sadiq Khan is a foreigner who's been elected the mayor of London. No, he's from London.
His dad was a bus driver in London.
Yeah, he was a councillor in London. He was an MP in London. He was elected by the people of London to be the mayor of London. He couldn't be more fucking London.
And literally, it's funny that they do this Mamdani thing where they try and kind of paint Sadiq Khan as a foreign Islamist, and he's the one who fucking waves the rainbow flag at the Pride Parade. Like, it's just, it's so jarring, isn't it? How he's seemingly at the same time a weak-willed, woke liberal.
Oh no, but that's Turkey, you see, where they're allowed to lie, even though Turkey is strictly about lying in order to stop yourself from being killed for being a Muslim in hostile territory. Yeah. So basically, self-protection. It's not about lying about liking gay people so that you can get into power and kill gay people.
Yeah, it's almost like they're trying to project this idea that Sadiq Khan is both weak and strong at the same time.
Yes, I'm getting echoes of that.
By Kemi Badenoch, saying she too didn't like what she saw. Organisers of the event told us they'd had lots of different events around the country, and the London Mayor, Sadiq Khan, and the local vicar were both there. Welcome to Sir James Cleverly, who's the Shadow Communities Secretary. Let's just start with this because it's provoking.
No, not echoes like that. Umberto Eco was the points of fascism. So I wasn't doing an allusion to echo marks around I wasn't being anti-Semitic. Leave me alone.
A lot of controversy, and I want to start by showing everyone these images. This was a Good Friday event that featured Christian prayer last year in Trafalgar Square. There it is.
And Jesus himself turned up. Fuck.
I mean, it just kind of have Buddy Christ vibes, though, doesn't it?
It does a bit, but like that's a big get. You got the J-Dog in town.
True. Also, as John the Brayson points out, right, saying he's fed up of Islamophobia against the Green Party, and you've heard about being a Trojan horse. I mean, yeah, this literally, this is the way the Nazis talk about the KPD.
Like it's. Have you ever seen a more integrated and like public service orientated motherfucker than Muffin Ali in your entire life? A man who literally went into a fucking riot and was taking fiery bins out of the situation and trying to calm it down and like bring peace and order to the streets of a major city in this country, and they still said he was a fucking Muslimic terroroid.
I mean, people were literally posting AI memes of him playing Hannah Spencer like a marionette. Like, it's literally, it's just Judeo-Bolshevism. They are literally invoking all the same tropes that the Nazis invoked about Jews in the 1930s. It's Judeo-Bolshevism, it's the same as Islamo-leftism, it's a conspiracy theory, and it's fascism. You cannot convince me otherwise.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, Martin Ali's like the chillest motherfucker in the world. He's the little muffin king, and I love him dearly. And, look, he couldn't be more fucking integrated. He's dope as shit. And, like, they'll still just call you that. Because they're fucking cunts who don't care. They're not trying to take on Islamic extremism. They don't like brown people.
There was a Jewish Hanukkah event that featured prayer in Trafalgar Square.
And I would argue this is much more domination because this is literally a nation-state's flag.
Yeah, it's crazy how they talk about there was a Hanukkah celebration with Jewish people. Israel, 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 Israel. No, actually.
Yeah,
Israel has nothing to do with this. Weird how you've decided to link a totally Zionist agnostic festival of Hanukkah and somehow make it about a nation state of Israel. Like, you've chosen this picture specifically. I wonder why, BBC.
Because, like, Judaism's been around for, like, 5,000 years. Israel has existed for 80. This is ridiculous. And again, I'm not saying this is domination, but if we're going to do domination, the nation state of a foreign nation state, the flag of a foreign nation state being waved in the centre of London, I would argue is much more dominance than some people praying with their shoes off.
And it's worth pointing out, right, is that you can absolutely, if you want, call a foreign nation state a threat. That is something that nation states can do. There is power dynamics,
especially when that nation state's trying to drag us into another fucking war. Yeah.
literally, right? Like, these are political entities engaging with each other. It's not just random people praying. But of course, plenty of people wave other countries' flags around in the middle of London, and it's also fine. It is quite literally fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously pretending to be Jesus is a bit blasphemous, but like, they don't follow their own rules anyway. Like, if you're an actual Christian, you should follow the kosher eating restrictions. But Christians in the Middle Ages went, nah, fuck that, pork's awesome. And so Christians just decided not to follow that law anymore. Okay, fine, yeah, whatever, cool. Like, to be fair, bacon is tasty as shit, but if I thought I was going to go to hell for eternity for it, I probably would give it up, I reckon.
And a Sikh event, Vaisakhi, they also involve prayer. So what's...
They've got fucking swords and shit. Look, again, I'm not saying they're an actual threat, but if we're going to do, like, weird fucking bigging it up, they've got actual swords out in the middle of London.
Honestly, but because they they studied the blade.
Well, exactly, yeah.
I will say,
different.
Right? Well, on this subject, it's just weird to me. It's really weird to me, Kevin. I don't know about you, right? When you went to school and you did your religious studies lessons when you were like year 7 to 9 was where I had most of my religious studies lessons, and there would be posters on the walls of all of the different religions, and you would learn about them in turn, and you would learn about the kids in your school that were of those religions, and the kind of things they believed, so you could get to know them better, right?
To be fair, I went to Catholic school, so the other kids around me were all Catholic.
Oh shit, really? I didn't realize you went to Catholic school.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
No, that's absolutely fine. But we did also, look, you have to do, like, the learning about other religions, because you're not allowed to do, like, exclusively just Christian shit. Which is right, you shouldn't just be able to fucking do that, yeah.
But yeah, like, we had a Hindu in our class, we had Muslims in our class, we had Sikhs in the school, like, so, and
we had lots of Irish, one Italian, and like I think there was possibly a Pole somewhere. That was about it. That was our ethnic diversity.
Literally, but literally, it's that when I was that to me, it was like, oh, look at all of the people around me, and at no point did I ever, care. I cared that they were religious because I was a weirdo fucking militant atheist. Reddit at the time,
Yeah.
But I had good intentions, of course. But at no point did I ever like look at these religions and ever perceive them to be any kind of threat. It's so weird to me that there's been a whole kind of fucking swathe of boomers who've been captured by this thing. The country is not the same anymore. I'm a stranger in my own country. And I'm just like, that's never even crossed my fucking mind.
Yeah. Well, I even going to a religious school, I never had that in like thing. No, that was like, it was fine. Other people existed, it didn't matter. In my Catholic school, we were told Islam was a cult that got out of control. Technically, all religions are cults that get out of control.
So true.
But
so big. Truth nuke from Kevin Logan.
But regardless of that, like, I presume you're American because you're not allowed to teach that in British schools. like you have to, like, you can do the whole, like, oh, we're going to learn about this Christian thing, but you also have to do, like, I learned about the 5 pillars of Islam, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I forgot most of it, but I did learn about it and thought, oh, that's cool. Like, I learned a thing about a different culture. That's cool.
I remember zakat because Islamic Relief that pays for adverts to ask people to give for zakat. That's the one I remember.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
Between that and a Muslim player.
Like, they have such strict rules in British schools about this that, like, when it came around to contraception, they were like, the official Catholic position on this is X, Y, and Z, but officially, you should use condoms. like, they literally had to do the full fucking thing, And I was like, oh, that's so bad. We were in a fucking weird one, right? Because at our school at St. Peter's, we had, priests aren't allowed to get married, except if they're already married when they become Catholic priests. which was the case in ours, because our one was a fucking former C of E guy. He was a Welsh guy, but he was in the C of E, right? And then left because of the ordination of women bishops, because he was a sexist prick. Anyway, so he had a wife. And I was like, oh, that's ridiculous. Why, hang on. You're supposed to be married to God, aren't you? What the fuck? Well, you've got pussy on the side as well. Disgusting.
Disgusting. What I will say, I mean, if there's any boomers in chat, right? If there's any boomers in chat, when you were at school in the 70s, 80s, 70s, boomers would be in school 70s, 80s probably. What was your religious studies education like about religions like Islam and Sikhism and Hinduism, for example? Like, what kind of things did you get taught? Because I feel like so much of this conspiracy theorizing, especially about Muslims, come from the idea that they don't have a fucking clue what's going on and they're scared because they don't know.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Most racism comes from that, doesn't it? They don't understand it. And it's so bizarre, because every single racist I've ever met knows a black guy or a Muslim that they worked with, that they were cool with. And you're like, extend that out! Extrapolate that to the fucking group of people. Because you got to know one Muslim and he was a cool bloke. Why did you think the others aren't? You just don't know them. Why are you scared of the rest of them, you fucking idiot? Anyway, it's
60s, 70s,
yeah.
Well, the point.
Well, my dad went to a Catholic school in rural Ireland in the 60s, and he said, and it was before Vatican II as well, so all the masses were in fucking Latin. He said, I didn't understand a word of it, and I'm glad. My dad, you think you're a militant atheist, right? My dad's not actually an atheist; he's basically a deist. But he said, and this is where I do have to disagree with him on a point of public policy. He said, if I had the power, I'd fucking knock down every church, mosque and synagogue in the country. He said, none of them. They're all fucking pedos and fucking grifting cunts, all of them. He's not the most liberal woke chap. I'll put it that way. He's got some strong ideas.
The point that Nick was making is there were elements specifically to that ceremony which
no,
pause.
Hang on 1 second. Yeah.
Is elements specific to this ceremony? Nope. No. He specifically said it's Muslims engaging in public prayer. That is it. There's nothing about the type of ceremony or the fact that it was done facing a certain direction at a certain time of day because it was daylight savings. No, nothing like that. He said it was Muslims praying in a public place, specifically Muslims doing it. That was the only specific thing that he said.
Yeah. Made it clear that there was no God other than the God of Islam, and that there is no prophet.
Right, but hear me out now. That's literally the same God as Christians. It's described differently, but it's the God of Abraham. It's Yahweh. It's Yeshua. It is indeed Allah.
And there's also a point worth pointing out that when it comes to each religion believing that their own gods and prophets are the one true gods and prophets, that is the case in every fucking religion.
Yep.
Oh, Islam says that Allah is the one true God and Muhammad is the one true prophet. Well, I'm pretty sure Christianity says that their God is the one true God.
Literally, in the Christian Bible, the 10 Commandments, the first commandment, thou shalt have no other God before me.
I mean, to be fair, Nigel Farage said we should ban all mass religious observance, so I'm looking forward to Christmas getting cancelled.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But these are the same people who get fucking annoyed that Starbucks didn't write Merry Christmas, Christians, Christianity, Jesus on the fucking mugs.
I mean, honestly, if we get to the point at which we just because we are so mad about Islam, but people don't want to look bigoted, we just totally secularize society completely, honestly, based. Fuck it, ends justify the means.
I don't want the state involving itself. Genuinely, maybe I'm a bit of a fucking wishy-washy on this, but
I agree.
I genuinely don't think the state should have any involvement in it because it's not your fucking business.
I mean, on a serious note, I would agree with that. But if it did happen, we got totally secularized, I wouldn't be mad.
Oh yeah, if there's like a social change and everyone becomes more chill about it all, yeah, cool. I don't give a fuck. But the state should not. No. protecting people against the ravages of religious extremism is one thing, but think, like I've said this before, as much as I don't like religion at all, I would never support the curtailment of it, because on the basis that, think of all of the freedoms that you would have to curtail to end religious observance. You couldn't have any kind of free society.
I agree.
Freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, even like freedom of fucking assembly, because you'd have to stop all masses and, you know, synagogue, mosque meetings, you know? So, like, you couldn't have a free society without it.
No, I mean, you look at, for example, the Soviet Union, which was not a free society.
No, and I mean, it was so fucking stupid of them, because if there's one thing that was bound to alienate, like, the Muslims of the Central Asian Stan countries, was having Christianoid Europeans from Moscow shutting down their religious centres.
Yeah.
Like, come on, that's pretty imperialist fucking gobshitery right there. Don't be doing that.
Also, thank you for clarifying, chat, that actually Islam actually doesn't say that Muhammad is the only prophet. It just says he's the last prophet.
Yeah, because Jesus is a prophet. Literally, Jesus of Nazareth is a prophet in the Bible. He is mentioned, is it 27 times, if I recall correctly, in the Quran. Yeah. And interestingly, Gabriel, the Archangel Gabriel, appears as a horse, and then Muhammad gets on the back of him and flies to Jerusalem at night in the famous incident, which definitely happened.
I certainly believe that.
Yeah.
It's almost as true as all of those animals pairing up and getting on the boat.
Yeah, absolutely. And the righteousness of killing every single being on the planet because they were being evil, including the newborn babies. Very cool.
And the Prophet Muhammad, and obviously that is exclusionary. With these events, we're not seeing women segregated. In all three of those photographs, you see women mixing. And what Nick was saying is that Ed Hussein, who's an academic...
What's that got to do with dominance? I mean, don't get me wrong, I think the sexist restrictions on prayer in Islam is bad. But
Yeah.
that's them doing their religion the way they do their religion. That's not dominating us. That's got nothing to do with domination of anything. That's just them having their traditional prayer in an outside setting rather than an inside setting.
Yeah. And in the original statement that he made, that Nick Timothy made, didn't mention it.
No.
Weird that he's bringing this up now post hoc when it wasn't mentioned originally.
Yeah.
Academic that's done a lot of work on this, has said that Islamists, and we should not conflate that term with the followers of Islam, with...
Okay, so what's your evidence that any of the people in those photographs were Islamists? Because if you don't have evidence for that, then what you are doing is conflating the innocent Muslims who are praying with Islamists.
With Muslims more broadly. But where that political agenda tries to assert its place in a public space, that is something...
Tehran has a subway station named after Mary. I didn't know that.
Well, there you go. Also, Iran has the biggest community of Jewish people outside of Israel in the United States.
Oh, nice. Interestingly, if we're going to go subway stations, you can't beat Paris's station Stalingrad.
True.
I've been there just because it was called Stalingrad, so we were like, should we go and see Stalingrad? Fuck yes. And it's quite a small little station. It's nothing special. It's just called Stalingrad after, you know, the city and the battle and that.
No, it's after the scene in Peep Show where Mark Corrigan talks about the book.
Yeah. You know, I'm not some sort of next door fuck jar.
Which is problematic, and it's something we should look at, because a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. And if politicians are not allowed to even discuss these issues, we put it in the laps of...
No, you can discuss it, but you have to discuss it with a little bit more fucking decorum than they're trying to dominate us. Oh shit, yeah, look at that. I won't bother sharing it, but yeah, there are cool pictures of the Mary station in Tehran. There's a Jesus monument. They even made him white Jesus. Cool. And white Mary. Although, I'm just going to put it out there now for everyone. I can't believe Joseph fell for that lie. Yeah, virgin birth. Okay, babe. Yeah, cool. Why does he look like next door neighbour?
More extreme voices.
But what's the evidence that that event was something being used by people with extreme views? What's the evidence for that?
No, that's not the point.
They're brown.
That Nick was making. What the point Nick was making is that this type of ceremony in the public space, where women were segregated from men, is at odds with.
No, he didn't mention any of this. You're completely making stuff up now.
Yeah, he talked about them dominating by engaging in an act of public prayer. That was the. I mean, let me find the original quote, right? Let's make sure that
because this was no different than if they'd done it in a mosque, right? Like they didn't change any of the prayer rituals. Again, excluding women, I think, is bad and dumb and wrong. But the point being is that they did exactly what they would have done in a mosque, but they did it outside. So
and they didn't
exactly like the Sikhs and Jews and Christians that were previously shown.
And again, they didn't force anybody else to engage in prayer.
Nope.
They didn't force anybody to watch. They just did it in square on their own. Literally, all he said is that it's mass ritual public prayer. He said mass ritual public prayer is an act of domination, and he said that it's about their explicit repudiation of Christianity, and that's it. That is literally all that he said in his fucking speech.
To be fair, it is, at least in part, a repudiation of Christianity, but why were you surprised at that? They're Muslims.
Yeah, because Christianity is a repudiation of Islam. Like
Exactly. Well, not to be too militant atheist about it, of course, but everyone's an atheist about all religions except one. I just go one God further, you know?
I contend that we are all atheists. Yeah, but I believe in one fewer God than you do. As one of the good Christopher Hitchens quotes.
True. The ones about bombing Iran being cool, or Iraq, I should say, not so good. Can we get some lols in chat for Christopher Hitchens being very dead? Let's have some. Let's have some.
UK, and that's something that we need to decide as a society whether it's a contradiction or a conflict.
Although, to be fair, if I had to choose one of the Hitchens to be dead, I think I'd probably go the other way around.
Between our norms and philosophies and those of a religion, how we reconcile that. Nick is absolutely right that we need to discuss this, and being told he needs to be fired for even bringing this up as an issue.
No, not for bringing it up as an issue. For being a racist cunt about it.
Yeah, again, for engaging in what I can only describe as Nazi conspiracy theories about a desire for Islam to dominate the West, for Muslims to dominate Christians, to perceive them engaging in entirely separate acts of faith of their own accord, in their own areas, in their own space, in Trafalgar Square, alongside other people, but not being not impressing it upon them, is somehow an act of societal domination, right?
Yeah. To show how badly the Conservative Party has regressed over the last 50 years, there was a time when a shadow cabinet member who made a racist public utterance that went against shadow cabinet policy would be fired for that. You know, but sadly we live in a post-Rivers of Blood world, and so that doesn't happen anymore, apparently.
Also, literally, Nick Timothy then reiterated his argument when he got called out and said, "I will not be silent. They will not stand up for. I will stand up for our way of life in the way that the people attacking me will not." He's literally trying to say that other people engaging in acts of prayer is a threat to our way of life. This is literally Nazi talking points.
Well, I will counter his point by saying I will stand up for our way of life in ensuring that Muslims and Jews and Christians and Sikhs and atheists have their freedom of religion and conscience respected in a way that you never will, Nick Timothy, you fascist cock.
So fucking true. The only people who are a threat to our society and our way of life are fucking monsters like Nick Timothy.
Quite so.
think shows the corrosive effect that we've
when
had.
we're trying to understand what he was meaning, and for you as a Conservative to say that the problem was that women were excluded, segregated prayer in this country happens in some of the Orthodox Jewish communities. Some synagogues, women pray separately to men. It happens also in some...
Well, literally, Marcel, yeah, in the de-Stalinisation process, loads of things were changed, including, of course, Stalingrad, which became Volgograd, because you can't have things named after Stalin anymore. So the veterans of Stalingrad had their city basically erased from them.
I mean, honestly, like, shout out to the Khrushchev thaw. Got to be one of my favourite periods of Soviet history.
It's mad. Like, don't get me wrong, change the ways, the kind of ossified, authoritarian ways that Stalin did shit, but you don't have to rename everything. It's fine, but you can't pretend he didn't exist. Anyway. Although it was funny that they changed the name of Stalin Alley in Berlin to Karl Marx Alley. And after the fall of the Berlin Wall and all of that, and the reunification, the only one they kept was Karl Marx Alley as the name. Because they got rid of, like, Albrecht Alley and all these other places that were named after communists. Because they were like, well, Karl Marx was German, and he was a philosopher, so that's fine. We'll let that one have. We'll just let that happen. So Karl Marx Alley still exists in Berlin. There you go. Used to be Stalin.
Forms of Christianity, some churches also do that. So are you saying that segregated prayer is by its very nature something that shouldn't be allowed in this country?
No, that's and again,
isn't it? No. St. Petersburg was formerly Leningrad, which was always Leningrad until the USSR fell, and then it became St. Petersburg again, having formerly been Petrograd as well. It's complicated.
There's some cities have gone through like insane number of changes, right? Like the capital of Kazakhstan is currently called Astana, right? But in terms of its names, it was originally called Akmoly in 1830. Then it became Seleningrad. So I think Akmolinsk, then Seleningrad, then became Almaty, then became Nur Sultan, and then became Astana.
Well, interestingly, Kharkiv is a fascinating one. It was actually founded by a Welshman, of all things. I can't remember what it was originally called, but it was called something vaguely Ukrainian, and then became Stalino after Stalin, and then during the thaw was renamed to Kharkiv, and such it has remained since. But I like the fact that there was a random fucking Ukrainian town started by a Welshman. As you do. Yeah, cool.
Literally.
Places of worship, what happens in those settings and what happens in a public space.
Which city was Titograd? It was
Podgorica.
Podgorica, yeah, one of the capitals of the new little...
Montenegro.
Well, no, there's no need to be racist, really.
Is something very, very different. And we do need to discuss this. And it's not about whether people agree with Nick or disagree with Nick. We don't all agree with everything, and there will be dissenting voices, of course. But
they should rename Trump Tower to Epstein Tower. I mean,
true.
I appreciate the sentiment, but just think through the practicalities of who wants to live in Epstein. Actually, loads of them did. Yeah, no, that's true.
But the reaction of the Labour Party, which is to demand Nick got fired,
but we're asking about what your party is trying to say. I mean, do you
it's
agree
funny
with
as well,
him
like
that
James Clever literally can't defend it. He was trying to say it was about segregation. Oh, so you want to ban segregation? No. But what Nick Timothy was saying, let's talk about the reaction. No. Let's answer the fucking question, James. Let's answer the fucking question. What is it specifically about this particular action that you found so offensive that Nick was correct to point out? If it's the segregation, then let's have an argument about segregation being banned. But you don't want to ban segregation because that would affect Jews and Christians. So you actually don't care. It's just about Muslims. It's about brown people.
Yeah. Sorry, Donetsk, not Kharkiv. It was founded by a man called John Hughes, who is... It's so Ukrainian. John Hughes. Although still the fact that AC Milan is called AC Milan was because it was started by an Englishman as a cricket club. Otherwise it'd be called Milano, which is what the Italians call that city. But the Englishmen went, no, we're calling it Milan.
event was an act of...
Sorry, but whilst we're on the topic. What's his fucking name now? I'll think... Hang on. Brain fart.
Domination.
So So that wouldn't be my personal take
So
on
you
it, but that's
don't?
not the point. The point is, it is absolutely legitimate within the political sphere to have a discussion about the boundaries, the limitations, how we deal with contradictions and
colleagues,
conflicts like this.
And no one would want to close down a...
Thomas Paine was the name I was trying to think of. Yeah, an incredibly cool bloke, was involved in the American Revolution and then the French Revolution, got elected to the first French Assembly of the French Republic and refused to learn a word of French. Just said, I won't do it, and literally had all of his speeches spoken by a black man in the French Parliament, and had all of the contributions that he would listen to translated for him, and just refused to learn French, which is the most English thing ever.
So true.
I will fight to liberate you, but I'm not learning your fucking language, you weirdos.
See, what James Cleverly's point that you just made here, by the way, was that, well, in the public realm, it's not about his actual comments. Well, it is actually about his comments, but that's by the by, right? In the public realm, we should always be able to discuss these things. We shouldn't jump down people's throats. We should calmly discuss the facts. I'm like, should we do that, for example, if I said that there was a Jewish conspiracy to subvert society, right?
Yeah, if you look at that picture of those people celebrating Hanukkah and you say there's a Jewish, the Jews are trying to dominate, would people have a problem with that?
They would call you an anti-Semite, and they would be correct to do so.
Yep,
explicitly correct to do so, and it shouldn't be tolerated. Again, the only reason that Nick Timothy gets away with this shit is because it's Muslims.
Yep. Isn't there a Welsh mining colony in Argentina? There are several, actually, in the place called Patagonia in the very south of the country. Loads of Welsh people upped and left because they were told it was good mining country. It was not. But by the time they got there, it was too fucking late, so they just stayed there. So there are loads of weird, like, people called, like, Carlos Augusto Hughes. Just in the south of Argentina, you know?
Also, another point as well to make here is that another thing that only gets levied at Muslims is the idea of parallel societies, right? They only levy the accusation that Muslims are living in parallel ghettos, when there are quite literally parallel society for Orthodox Jewish communities, right? And it's fine. It's quite literally fine. I don't care. I don't care that they exist. They're having fun. They're enjoying themselves. You know, no skin off my nose, right? But they never get accused of that fact. They never get accused of that fact.
Mm. Yeah, exactly.
In the way that Muslims do.
Yeah. Or the weirder parallel fucking societies of these weird posh white people enclaves that exist in places.
On islands in the Caribbean.
I wasn't strictly, I meant more like gated communities in England. But yeah, that is also a very, very significant problem.
Free debate, but some of your colleagues feel that the way he went about it by highlighting one community has been offensive and maybe even dangerous. A Conservative peer, former Minister Lord Ahmed, who I think you worked with at the Foreign Office, he said that Nick Timothy was trying to instill fear.
No, I don't agree. Tariq Ahmed and I are very, very, very close friends. I don't agree with Tariq's assessment of this. Nick wrote a very thoughtful piece explaining...
Did he? Are you sure?
...in details his position. And we need to look at the nature...
I think you mean he post hoc tried to rationalise in order to save his political career.
Yeah, just like everyone else has been doing, because the Tory line from people who should know better... I mean, I'll rephrase that. People who expect them to know better, obviously they don't, they're Tories, they're all fucking vermin, right? They should know better than to just defend this shit. But the line coming from the fucking top down, the collective cabinet responsibility, is to defend this shit. So the Tories have pulled themselves into the fasci quagmire where they fucking belong. And to be fair, where we always knew that they have been.
Yeah, exactly. You're not hiding your power levels very well, lads. Weird white people communities, the US suburbs. Yeah, basically. That's precisely what I mean. White people hiving themselves off from those people. You know exactly what they mean. Heaven forbid they meet any urban people.
Of integration, we need to look at the nature of how we maintain the things. For example, freedom of worship is an incredibly important cornerstone.
So why was he attacking that?
Literally. Again, he knows it's indefensible.
Yeah, like, it's disgusting to me that you would, like, defend this shit. Even if you do hate fucking Muslims or whatever, which would be bad in of itself. But like, just in a matter of self-preservation, like, again, I keep saying to people, read and understand the Niemoller poem. It's not just a fucking thing about first they came for this, that, and the other. It's an actual, essentially a diary in poetry form of what actually happened. You protect other people's rights, not just to protect those people, but to protect yourself from the same authoritarian impulse that governments of all stripes have to try and curtail freedoms. You protect other people's rights so that your rights are also protected.
Well, again, that's why conservatism will always be an exclusionary ideology, because you do not, you only believe in rights as a concept with which they can apply to the in-group and not the out-group, which means they're not rights at all. They are just, you're just trying to...
Privileges.
You're trying to encode your own privileges into law.
Yeah.
Again, and it's Burkean, right? This comes from Burkean conservatism. This idea that there is a just way of society, and the statecraft should be to try and both conserve but also replicate that societal structure that's in place. And of course, the people who wrote that structure and who believes it to be the best ones were the ones at the top because they benefited, right?
Yeah.
That's always been the case with conservatism. It is a bad ideology for bad people.
Indeed. And literally, yeah, the opening line of that poem is "First they came for the communists," which even on the Holocaust Memorial fucking statue in, I think, is it Chicago, they changed it to "First they came for the socialists."
Yep.
He didn't write that.
Nope.
He didn't write that. But you changed it because Cold War. Cool. Glad you weren't silencing a dead poet or anything.
In the UK, but we also need to understand that we've seen segregation. We have seen times when British values are at odds with community practices, and we need to decide which takes precedent.
Would you ban segregated public prayer? No, it's not the instinct of a conservative to ban anything, but would you ban segregated public?
Whoa, Laura. The Conservatives ban loads of stuff, just not stuff they like. Stuff that they want to do doesn't get banned. Stuff that everyone else wants to do gets banned. 100%. What do you mean it's not in the impulse of a Conservative to ban things? Fuck off.
So the whole point of this conversation is when public prayer is at odds with our long-standing philosophy that women are not second-class citizens and should not be seen...
Is that a long-standing thing?
literally.
I'm sorry, my man. Women got the vote within living memory. Just living memory at this point, but yeah, like that's not remotely true. Literally, the reason that Birmingham went fucking bankrupt was because for decades women on the same pay grade were being paid less than their male equivalents.
Women got the rights to open bank accounts in 1975.
Long-standing! Like, they do this. They say, oh, we've had a democracy for 1,000 years. No, we fucking haven't. What are you talking about? We've barely got one now. Women are not second-class citizens.
They still are. They still are second-class citizens,
yeah.
Right? We live in a fucking rape culture, right? The rape conviction rate is insane. It's de facto fucking legal.
The formerly Prince, fucking Andrew Mountbatten, Windsor, Saxe-Coburg, Gotha, fucking nonce boy, right? Literally is not in jail, even though we know he raped women. We know that happened. It very obviously fucking happened. There are pictures and everything. Yeah, but, you know, women aren't second-class citizens or anything. It's cool. It's fine. Perfectly normal.
To be second-class citizens in the public realm, that is something we do need to discuss.
Now, you were the Foreign Secretary, you did lots of different jobs in government, and now you're Shadow Community Secretary. But we heard from Steve Reid told us he was pretty clear, as much as he wanted to be specific, that the government does not believe that Iran could hit the UK with its missiles. Israel has suggested differently. Do you believe that Iran has the capability to hit the UK?
So I haven't seen. I'm not privy to the kind of intelligence reports that I used to be, but what we are seeing is Iran now deploying very, very long-range missiles. When I was foreign...
Not very long range. America can hit Antarctic. America can launch a nuke up a fucking penguin's arse. That's a long range. After tariffing it, obviously, yes. That's long range. Intercontinental ballistic missiles can go anywhere. Iran can't reach the fucking middle of the Indian Ocean.
Oh, they didn't even hit Diego Garcia. It fell short.
Yeah, which is, again, 1,000 miles closer to them than London.
Again, it's Iran denies.
Again, exactly, but even so,
Diego Garcia.
as far as we're aware, they have missiles that can't get anywhere fucking near us. So even if they wanted to, which they obviously don't, and never, look, there's no one realistically saying that Iran actually poses a threat to us, except the IDF, who want us to believe that, of course, for their own political and military ends. Even if they wanted to fucking do anything to us, they couldn't. So getting involved in this war is profoundly stupid.
It is indeed.
Secretary.
That's before you even get into the illegality of it. We're not even mentioning that.
We were absolutely consistent that our primary focus with regard to Iran was preventing them acquiring a credible nuclear weapon. They were tiptoeing.
Oh, he's fucking saying nuclear. Nuclear. It is not
Yeah, it's
actually
spelled
that
really. It's spelled exactly the way you pronounce it. Nuclear. 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 Not nuclear.
Honestly, de-yankification has never been more necessary.
Towards that with greater enrichment.
You know, it's also really
so
necessary.
it was inevitable.
What?
Becoming a member on YouTube for 19.
True. That is
or
very
gifting
true.
memberships to your fellow viewers, or indeed super chatting to have your message read out. You know, if you become a member, you get access to the archive live streams, and you get lovely fucking emotes.
True.
Well, it's literally cheaper than a can of piss in a can.
Literally
In the
so.
form of a kind of red stripe.
Inevitable that Israel and the US decided they needed to take action.
It's cheaper than a Freddo in some supermarkets. And honestly, I think there needs to be a revolution on that fact alone.
To prevent that from happening. Our frustration, and Nick highlighted this earlier on the panel, is that Keir Starmer prevented our allies using their military capability from our bases. That was a misstep. It's damaged our credibility in the international sphere. We're relying on other countries to protect British personnel, British nationals, and British interests, and that is not the position we should be.
But just briefly, would you retaliate then for Iran's attempt to strike Diego Garcia, British base?
It's not about...
Again, there's no clarification as to whether it was Iran that did this. That's just been taken for granted, though.
Retaliation. It's about making sure that whether it is the UK directly or our allies or in conjunction, we degrade their ability to target us. But let's start...
Which would be involved bombing them. That is what you mean.
With the basics. We should be defending our own people. And Starmer hasn't even got that right.
I don't remember you saying we should defend our people when you stripped Shamima Begum of her citizenship. Apparently her rights as a British citizen didn't matter.
Well, again, because... What is a single proposition to wit of conservatism, chat? Say it with me, that the law exists with an in-group that it protects but does not bind, and an out-group that it binds but does not protect. She's brown, she's the out-group. What happens, chat? And again...
Not just brown, brown and poor.
Brown and poor. And a rape victim. A grooming victim.
Yeah, exactly.
People don't mention that, do they?
Well, no, of course, because, I mean, mentioning rape would get too many backbenchers erect, I'm sure.
Literally, because they keep doing, well, she was old enough to know what she was doing. And I'm like, was she old enough to know what she was doing when she was being raped by an adult while she was 15? Was she old enough to consent? Was she old enough to understand what she was doing? Because our laws say that she doesn't, quite correctly so, which is why it was rape.
Yep.
But these people seem to think that she deserves it because she's brown. That's literally it.
Literally.
Just lastly, would you like to see a cap on the profits of energy companies if bills go up later in the year?
What I'd like to see is British people taxed less. A huge chunk of their...
Why did you have massive taxes when you were in government then? Like, this is the thing. If you're a Conservative, you have no reason to ever vote for these cunts again. The two things you care about, taxes and migrants, both went up.
bills are because of taxes, particularly green levies. We are advocating a reducing of the amount of money that the government adds to those bills. Let's start off with that. Let's also make sure we are better utilising our own.
So no, private companies should be able to get, like, they've learned nothing. They've changed nothing. They're neoliberal scum. Enjoy complete irrelevance and losing your seat at the next election.
Oil and gas capability so that we are not reliant so heavily on imported energy sources.
Okay, well, I have a feeling we're going to need lots more conversation about what to do about energy bills in the coming months. James Cleverly, good to have you with us in the studio.
No, it isn't. He was a fucking complete schmeathead who tried to justify illegal wars and racist fucking fascist rhetoric. What a shithead. Anyway, I don't really care what the panellists have to say, and it is...
Nope, I do not
half
care
12, so.
either.
Thank you, Mr. Satnav, for resubscribing. Much love to you. Yeah, almost 2 years you've been with me. Seek fucking help. Jesus, man. Think of all the money. If you subscribe to me, you could be spending that money on, like, drugs. Think about that. I know what I'm going to be spending it on.
Also, I want to say thank you, Jack Ash in chat says, I've said something before that you've never forgotten. The taxes will never be as low as they were because we have an aging population. Yep, it's as simple as that. You either have higher taxes or you get rid of the state pension. It's as simple as that, and we shouldn't be doing the latter. We should be raising taxes.
Well, that's the thing. In an ideal world, pensioners should have a better fucking time of it. Because if you're a poorer pensioner, you're still not living high on the hog. But, unfortunately, everyone else gets completely fucked so that the triple luck can last, which is just not acceptable. That's not a long-term tolerable situation.
We specifically chose a pension system. By we, I mean the Conservative Party under Margaret Thatcher basically chose a pension system in which we have essentially decided collectively as a country that you should get a private pension. You should get a private pension. The state pension is only there as a universal baseline for everybody. And if you fail to prepare, then you prepare to fail. That's the position that we have accepted as a society. And if that is going to be the case, which it would take a massive overhaul to change to make it universal and also like entirely all-encompassing, would be a massive expansion in what we currently spend on the state pension, then we have to accept that fact and accept that we'll not be able to free up enough cash, or we'd have to tax ourselves even further to be able to do so.
Yeah. Thank you, Duck Authority, with 30 months of Prime, who says, I can't spend my Prime sum on drugs. No, but I can spend that on drugs. So
true.
You know. I won't, though, because I don't do drugs. I'm very boring. I literally had the most boring thought in the world today, right?
Hype train.
I got my first washing out on the line of the year today. It was that dry.
Yay!
And I felt really good about it. I was like, that's cool. That's like it's like the first blossom of spring or something. And then I thought to myself, you boring old cunt. You got excited by putting washing out on the line. You used to snort substances off bodies. And now this gets you going. Fuck's sake.
I get excited shopping for home furnishings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it's just... oh, God, I'm so old and disgusting. Really. Honestly.
Should we go down, though, Kevin? Should we go to a festival? Should we go to a festival and get fucking lathered?
No, because I went out and got pissed yesterday, and I woke up and I've absolutely bollocksed up my right calf muscle, and I don't remember how. I'm just old. I just have to accept I can't do it anymore. Just my body won't take it. Random bits of me just explode. Okay.
Thank you, Alan Saw, for the £5. Appreciate the support.
Yes, thank you, Wayward, with the bitty bits. Thankfully, we're not on a hype train, although we probably should be, but we're not, so I can leave. Yes. And on that bombshell, who should we ride into?
I'm going to send my YouTube viewers, because I only have YouTube viewers, off to the left of the box.
Okie doke, well, I will join you in that endeavour. There we go, left of the box. And on Twitch, I will send everybody into someone awesome, maybe. If I can find anyone. The person that raided in the other day, Caro Kick, is live, so I'll send you there. Cool. Go and check
full circle.
Yes, it is Cuba Libre time. Let's fucking go. That's a good enough title for me. Boom shakalaka. Yeah. I will see you all, well, today, because it's, Monday.
Yeah, it's true. I will also see you. I'll be afternoony streamy because that's what I do on Mondays.
Fair dues. And we'll talk on Thursday or Friday or something.
Almost certainly. Almost certainly.
Cool. Everyone
go follow Kevin Logan. Do it.
Everyone
That's an
go
order.
follow No Justice MTG. She's famous and cool.
I am famous. It's so true. And also free Palestine and free Cuba.
Indeed. No passing around.
Goodbye.